What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Black Line Brief. I am your host, Matthew McKim, and today we have a special guest, Tommy Borum, from the Borum Forum, and he is a comedian, writer, headhunter, psychic retard, predictive genius, conspiracy solver, and also he's known for putting out a tweet August 13th of 2025, correct?
Yeah, I believe so.
If Charlie turned heel on Israel, they would have someone shoot him at an open air event, and they would have some idiot groiper with a genetically anomalous issue there to be a patsy, a fall guy. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Matthew. It's nice to meet you. Thanks for having me on. Great to talk with you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me. And as everyone comes in today, please do me a favor, whether you're watching from Tommy's channel or mine, do us a favor and hit the like and subscribe. It's the best and free way to help support the channels. So I wanted to have you on from watching you on Didi from, I don't know, was that back in like April or?
Yeah, March or April.
Yeah. And I found it a very, very good interview about, for me, some of the parts that stuck out were the way you kind of go through how Tyler could have been, identified and then, made into a patsy of some sort. To what degree of a patsy, I think it's still, we don't really know how much and what degree he did. I mean, I don't think he was on the Losi Center roof and fired a 30-06, but I mean, do you think he did?
I don't think he ever had his gun that day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I don't think he was on campus that day.
I don't know. And I'm happy to get into all those things with you. But yeah, I think it's obvious to me, and it was obvious to me before it happened, that there was going to be a patsy in any scenario to attack a major public figure. And to put a pin in Tyler Robinson and Charlie Kirk for a minute and pivot to months prior, we had, I think his name is Ryan Ruth. The Ruth is I believe the last name, Routh, is the guy who was living in Hawaii, independently had an income, but we didn't know how exactly, is the guy that had the sniper rifle taking shots at Donald Trump on the golf course. He was the guy who was prevalent online, promoting Ukraine war, promoting his pushing of nonprofit kind of fundraising for the war in Ukraine.
Yep.
And was tied in with what we now know are these Ukrainian neo-Nazis in various forms overseas. So when you see those groups, and I know that right off the bat, those groups have been told, and they have told the media rather, they think of themselves as big Israel, that they think of Ukraine and the war against Russia as they're carving out of big Israel in the Eastern Bloc. So when I think of the Ukraine war, and we're funding tons of money for that, and we're giving all kinds of money for that, and then they have a guy who's kind of ancillary to their cause and helping kind of fundraise, but is a little retarded here on the state side. Mm-hmm. They can activate him and flip him, turn him, and all of a sudden he's a patsy. He's a glow op on the golf course, taking shots at Donald Trump, creating the illusion for the public that there's a real threat, that he was actually going to maybe kill someone. And then the media can run and say, Iran has someone here. We had the UFOs before the election.
Yep. In Jersey.
Plaguing the East Coast, but seen mostly in New Jersey, where we've always seen UFOs. Yep. And it's not just swamp gas, but it's, it's actual stuff.
Yeah. Physical, whatever, crafts of some kind.
Right. And we were all told by the congressional representatives who were pulled into secret meetings, and they were telling you on Fox and CNN and MSNBC that they had reason to believe. You didn't, I didn't, because we're in the public. We only have our eyes and our ears, but they had reason to believe that these craft were all going back to an Iranian mothership in the ocean. We remember hearing this, but we also remember not believing it. So it didn't stick. So in the plot of data that we have over the last couple of years, we have a guy who is more connected to Israel than he is to Iran, that we are told is an Iranian connection, taking shots at a golf course. In Butler, we are told it's an Iranian plot to kill the president, but we have the Secret Service taking side steps to allow it to even happen in the first place. It all seems like it's a game of catch where the one hand throws the ball the other hand and catches it in the glove, and we're told we're receiving real pitches.
Right.
So it's not Iran throwing people
No.
at us, trying to kill the president. It's a call coming from within the house every time,
Yeah.
setting it up to look like he's going to get shot, maybe to put pressure on him, maybe to make us think that. But in any event, it serves the purpose of now Iran can have a new war.
Yeah.
Now Israel can have a war with Iran, rather. We can have a new war with Iran. So
Right.
where I go then back to pull the pin out of Tyler Robinson and Charlie Kirk, it's another situation where you have someone's behavior being maligned against them. They get pulled into a situation they don't understand is far bigger than themselves and what they understand is the plan. And they're hung out to dry as a patsy. And I don't think it's as simple as, the Ruth character having a rifle on the side of a nine-hole course, or, trying to go after the president in a public way where we had no way of knowing where he was. Right. That alone is weird.
Yeah.
How he knew where the president was going to be, where his devices were taken and who's looked at them and all that just kind of went away. We were just told it was Iran and now go.
Right.
Same with Butler. They scrub the guy's house. They say there's no DNA on the silverware. It's all very strange. It looks staged. It looks like maybe this isn't even real. It's a cutout story, but the story serves a purpose. And the purpose is now the public believes Iran is going after the president. These are little, just grains of sand in what I'm seeing now is a mountain piling up of things I was told, things the public was told were Iran, but we all suspect they're maybe not. Things that serve Israel's purposes a lot more than Iran's, but yet we're told the one thing by the other party.
Yep.
And we're seeing them kind of mounting. Now, I look at Donald Trump being told publicly by Charlie Kirk, Massie is my favorite character in Congress. Massie's my favorite congressman. Charlie Kirk is on campuses being convinced by young people on video to have his mind changed about Israel to the point where now he is going on podcasts and representing his position has changed. Israel's actions have now caused him to question things. He's now having a realignment and a moral moment where he's now realizing this is not a good thing. He can no longer support it. All that comes out. It makes all the sense in the world to me that Israel would say, we got to have that. We got to pull that player off. We got to go and have that pitcher pulled from the mound, whatever it is. And so it makes sense to me that that's what happened. Sorry, I know I'm being super long-winded and tying a bunch of things together, but I think that's what we're seeing is like the grand scheme of things in August. I'm saying if Charlie is out there kind of changing his mind and moving the gauge himself, that shifts millions of people. And if he does that, that's a huge asset that Israel loses. They'd be willing to bury him as a liability.
Yep. And think about this too, right? Like the war machine is a big thing. It takes a lot of it to get it moving, right? And once it does, so like their planning and preparation probably was even back before when they went to Fordo and they kind of, I don't know, it was like a soft launch or just like a whatever. I don't think that was ever going to be the end of it right there, right? And if they saw that Charlie was going to threaten this massive thing that has so much riding on it, right? And then he's coming out against a regime change war in Iran. He was very clear about that. Any foreign wars, right? A quagmire war like Iraq. And also at the same time, speaking out against, Israel and everything that they're doing and changing his stance on them in a lot of different ways. And the beginning of this comeback, America comeback tour was UVU. And this was the first one. It makes sense to me that why they chose UVU because it's Utah and a lot of other reasons, but that they had to take him out the first one because he goes to the second, the third, the fourth. I mean, he's already persuaded how many young voters, millions, maybe with all the views.
I might ask you to think of it a different way. If in June you need to take him out, then maybe you're already working with the people inside the organization to schedule so that his first appearance is in the place. You already have a bunch of Mormon CIA assets.
Yeah.
It's not, maybe it's not a function of it's urgent that we take him out, pick the first place and just make it work, but it's make the first place the place we can make it work. So they choose UVU for his first to stop because his second stop had no security planning, right? As far as I've been told, they didn't have a protocol in place where they otherwise would have. So it's like they knew we don't have to schedule that one because we're killing him at this first one. And I think that's why they made that first stop UVU.
Yeah. And that's probably why they also waited a lot longer to schedule that event. Like usually based on what Candace said, it's usually 6, 8, maybe longer months in advance when they get these these the venues picked, and then the whole plans and the preparation. It's a lot of process, right? For these kind of outdoor events. And this one kind of went together in a shorter time frame, but still months, probably in, like you're saying, in like maybe end of May, beginning of June time frame. And that, yeah, they picked it for, I think, lots of reasons. I mean, for one, I mean, there's connections to, I mean, I don't know where you stand with Erika and whether she was privy to this beforehand or after the fact, or if she's like a victim in all of this, but there's some interesting ties to UVU with her. Like, I think it's on her grandparents' side that go way back to UVU with like funding that helped create UVU.
Yeah, they're all spooks.
Yeah. And then the whole, what is it? It's, usually the right to the speedy trial is for the defendant, but it's a new law that started in the 80s, and like 20 something, maybe now like 30 something states have adopted this law to where, the victim can also, request a right to a speedy trial. It's called like the Mary's Law or something like that. It's a lady's first name. I forget her name. But Utah is one of them, right? And then, yeah, they're deep ties to the CIA. I mean, Utah is massive. You know about Dugway Proving Grounds out there, right?
I haven't heard of that. But that's what I mean when I see. I'm going to make sure my mic's up. When I see Erika Kirk and her behavior before, during, and after, it's easier to see in hindsight. You can look at it all, compiled and say, clearly she knew something before and is acting super strange after. I think, as far as like accountability goes and responsibility, that's hard for me to pin on her. Yeah, I don't, because she's not there that day to pull the trigger. She's not hitting the trigger button.
Right.
Pulling the plunger. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
And we have not talked about this, but I have posted ad nauseum, and I have talked with a few different people about what I think actually killed Charlie Kirk. I think, really, just putting it simply and concisely, I think they put a charge, an explosive device within his mic pack.
The one on his collar?
No. So where am I? I've got those two. Let's see. I have a Rode mic. This is not what I'm saying. So they have one of these little, style mics.
Yep.
Where you pin it to the shirt. Yep. And we can see that pinned on him.
Yeah, underneath. Yep. You see the magnet on the outside, and the windsock is not on that one. It was on older versions. And that's for the video, right? That's what the audio's recording is for the video.
Right. Because they have multiple sources of audio. They also have the crowd mic, which is what he picks up to say, great. The other receiver, though, that it is not the microphone itself, not the thing pinned to his shirt, but the actual receiver, the mic pack that would either be picking up from a short distance, or on they would have his shirt mic wired to a mic pack like you would be on a stage production in a theater. Yep. So they strap the mic on you, then they have the wired mic up, and then that's catching the body audio for the video, like you said. That thing, I think, was outfitted with an electric or an explosive device that goes up and through, and I think that's what we're seeing one little piece of come out the front. I don't think they anticipated it making it through, because you can see fragments in the video when it's slowed. You can see a thing moving between his knees, and I think that is that thing going and spitting out the front. I think they riddled his body with as many little tiny microscopic fragments as they needed to, which is why in the autopsy they pulled one. It's why in the autopsy they called it a fragment of a jacket, but they did not call it a round, because it isn't.
Right.
So I think they pull one piece out. They say, there, test that. We'll say that's the bullet. One little piece shoots out of his neck in the front that creates the wound that we see. I think that's when they have to change their story to say, instead of a shot from the side, it was just shot from the front. And it makes no sense ballistically. I think that's why they took the shot into the van from the side in the back. So I guess what I'm getting at is, I think they put a charge on Charlie's mic pack, the receiver pack, the thing that would be hidden by his shirt. That's why we see the shirt and everything else convulse and move first. I think we see that. I think we see the reaction to him not being shot, but him being hit with something and immediately going limp suggests that. And then I think the patsy is, as I've said on a couple of other platforms, I think Tyler Robinson is a guy who is shooting his mouth off online and I know what it's like to be fresh on a big college campus, immature freshman around a bunch of new people, thinking that all these people are just like me and we're going to have so much fun.
Yeah.
And you don't know that maybe that kid isn't quite like you, but you thought he was for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or however long.
Yeah.
I think, like I went to Michigan State in that Case Hall in the honors college that I was in. We also roomed with all the athletes. So if you were there as a freshman on a football or a baseball or basketball scholarship, you were on the other side of the same building I was in. And so you think these athletes are just like us. We're going to get along just fine until one of them robs you. And you're like, never mind, they're not my friend. But you thought they were.
Yeah.
Little naive as a freshman.
Yeah.
I think this kid is the same, except gay. I think he goes to UVU. I think he meets up with some wrong examples and bad examples. And I think the Lance Twiggs character, I think that is a character. I think it's a guy that was born a different name. I think he is a CIA cutout kid. They say, we're going to use you this year. We're going to have you be on this campus. And I don't know exactly how it all works because I'm just me. I'm the member of the public. I'm the armchair quarterback.
Yeah.
But it seems to me that they activate him as an asset and they have him in a Discord with a bunch of other trans ideologically driven people who are into the trans, furry, other kink fetishes that they would be shamed and shunned for in a society, but they can all collectivize themselves online. I don't think Tyler Robinson was talking with real trans furry lovers on campus. I think he was led to believe he was. And I think he told them, I don't like Charlie Kirk and I don't like him coming to our campus. And I think they responded at the Federal Bureau of Investigations and said, wouldn't it be great if we killed him as your best friends here on campus? But hey, we don't have a gun. Would you, who has a gun in this Discord? And he's one of 80 people in a Discord. He says, I do. And he's only being a participant. And so in his mind, I think, I don't want to just, keep talking at you, but I know that his neighbors said to the news, he had visitors from out of state.
Yeah,
we'd never seen before. They came into the garage, they collected something and they left. And we never saw them again. That was a week and a half before this event. And it was just very strange to them because otherwise he'd had no one coming and going and they were kind of shut-ins.
Yep.
So it strikes me as like the guy watching the movie, eating the popcorn at home. I'm like, that was them coming to pick up his gun, telling him, oh, we're just trans identifying people and we're just going to do this thing for you. They're not going to tie it to you because we're just going to do it. It's your gun, but we're going to take the shot. You just need to be here at this time off campus to meet us. We're going to give you your gun back and then they won't connect us to it nor it to you. You're hours away. All good. And that's why he's there at a certain point, looking around, looking almost like he's looking for people or meeting. He doesn't have a gun on him. When he's running around on campus and they have video of what they say is Tyler Robinson, there's no gun on that person. And the only photos they have are looking like him after they've said AI confirmed facial recognition. He was there. Then he leaves. Then he comes back. We think we didn't run the confirmation a second time. We just assume it's him because it's the same hat.
Right.
So it makes me think like how many guys could go and order the Patagonia hat with waves on it and just wear it real low like this and walk around. And then everyone could think that it was me holding up the speedway down the street later tonight. So my point in all that is I think he was led to believe that he would be a part of a plan to take Charlie Kirk out, which is why he acted guilty initially. Then he saw the news and thought, oh my God, wait, I didn't take the shot. They're going to call me a shooter. Wait, hold on a second. They're pulling the rug on me. And I think that's what we see. And again, they're going to tell you it doesn't serve the purpose of Iran this time. We can't say Charlie Kirk got killed by Iran, right? But we can take Charlie Kirk out and then go to war with Iran. And we don't have anybody in the Oval Office telling him no. And the last thing I'd say on that is this. I don't think clandestine services in America can conduct this kind of an assassination without having the express permission of their bosses, of their superiors. So is it Donald Trump signing off? Is Donald Trump telling his bosses in Tel Aviv, look, I would go to war, but I've got too many people around here are telling me no. My mind is telling me yes, but my body is actually telling me no, frankly. Like, does he go to Bibi and say, Tucker says no, Charlie Kirk says no, so the old people say no, the young people say no? Like, does he do that? And then they say, don't worry, Mr. President, we will take both of them out. And then in a matter of a year, you see Tucker loses his job at Fox. And then another year and a half later, Charlie gets killed. And another however many months later, everyone else is quiet. Massie just lost his job last night. He was the last person that was anti-Zionist in America. Do you see what I'm seeing? Like everybody that said no 2 years ago is now down and out.
And Joe Kent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, that was. I agree.
Tell me what you think about that. What happened that day?
Yeah. So, okay. So when you read the court documents, the prosecution in the state, the Utah County Attorney's Office is very careful on what they actually put to pen to paper. And they definitely say for a fact that when Tyler Robinson arrives there in the morning at like 8:30 a.m., he parks in the parking structure and walks around campus. He's wearing the shorts, the shirt, the Converse, and a hat. And they say, but they clearly have him. They say it definitively. We know, we got a clear picture of his face. That's Tyler Robinson in the morning. But he walks around campus. He doesn't walk on campus. He walks around campus. Then he leaves. Then when he comes back, I don't think it's him. I think it's Eagle Boy, the guy with the eagle shirt, the black shirt with the eagle on it and the flag, with a hat. The only real difference is he's wearing long pants, long sleeve shirt, and glasses this time. They say in the documents and in one of the previous hearings that he's wearing a disguise. The only real difference that he's wearing from the morning is a pair of glasses. And so, and they even say it's harder to tell that it's him, and it's not as clear. The video footage isn't as clear as it is in the morning, but it's him. But it's him, right? Even though it doesn't really, in my opinion, look like him at all. And that's just the beginning of the issue, because they also say that he's got the rifle down his pants, but we see him bend both legs at different points. We can see the outline of his cell phone in his right hand, in his right pocket, as he's walking down the steps to go under the tunnel before he goes up the stairs to go onto the roof. And you see his keys in his left pocket. So his pants are tight enough to show you the outline of his phone and his keys, but he's supposed to have either a full Mauser, which fully put together, which is like 45 to 49 inches, massive, old school, heavy duty, 1940s Mauser, in one leg, which I'm 5'11". I did measuring tape from my foot. It goes up into my armpit. It's a big rifle. Okay. That thing would be clunky, and you'd be walking like you had a crutch. Like it would be so clear. It wouldn't be like this, like little half limp, because he still bends it. Even in the morning when he's like walking in the Phil Lyman Ring doorbell camera footage, he still kind of bends it a little, it's not, and that's a whole nother issue. Right. And then he gets onto the roof. Right. And so they say that they have this person that they say is Tyler Robinson climb over the railing, but he climbed over the railing while he had the rifle in his leg. So
at this point, he's gotten very good at walking with it and disguising it. So maybe he can just, will it over.
He just like straight things. Yeah. Like a stick figure. And then he goes behind that building, which is like glass. So you can actually see, even if they use that camera, which is the one that they're using, but there's others that probably also picked him up, but they don't say that. He goes out of the view for like 8 minutes, and he changes in that time, supposedly puts the rifle together in that time, runs out, and then low crawls to the shooting position. And then they say, and then we have him on camera after the shot. They don't say it in the court documents. It's not written that they have him taking the shot. I find that super weird.
Yeah. Don't you think that the court document would say we have him on video taking the shot with this weapon that we've identified and confirmed to be the weapon that killed the person who is dead? They have none of that. Right.
And then he doesn't have the rifle when he's running, and it starts at 12:23 and 30 something seconds. And I think the shot was at 12:23 and 29 seconds. And he's already in a dead sprint about 20 yards away from the sniper's perch. And supposedly he had time to disassemble it, because remember, the screwdriver's up there. He disassembles it, and then he jumps off the roof, and he's got like a towel or a sweater, but no rifle. And then he jumps down, and then he goes across the street and reassembles it without the screwdriver, which isn't even enough tools for this old thing to disassemble and reassemble anyway, and then leaves it there. And then they don't find it. And then they don't find it. They do a sweep. The local police do a sweep. They don't find it. The bomb sniffing dogs sweep. They don't find it. FBI shows up. They don't find it. Then the FBI tells these two rookie cops that have less than a year between the both of them, hey, I know, like, we all just sweeped it 3 times. The dogs didn't find it, but maybe you guys can have some good luck and go look over there. And on the 4th time, they find it.
Yeah, it's lucky. It's miraculous, even almost incredible.
Yeah, it's so nuts.
But those are all things that make me like not just harden my position, but like extend it and advance it with more detail that this person is a patsy.
Yeah.
It's really easy to say, you know, the day it happens when we don't know anything,
Right.
I bet you this is a setup. But everything they've shown us since then has only confirmed and expounded on that belief and made me think even more that it's a setup. They don't have real evidence. They don't have hard cutting proof evidence that we can all see that day. Like, hey, there's the guy. He's on the roof. We just see, oh, he's got a gun. Someone say something. Like nothing like this.
No.
Like in Butler, right? They all said, we saw a guy with a gun. We saw him right there. We saw him about to take a shot. It was almost theatrical because we told the cops and they went, blah, 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 blah. So like, what were we supposed to think happened there? Complete mirror opposite to this, where they say they have a gunman on the roof. They say that he's there. They say there's video. Oddly, they don't want to show it. And everyone says it doesn't look like he got shot with that gun.
No.
Like all of this tells me, like, are we just getting a goofy midget middle finger? Like it looks even funnier when you're getting flipped off this way. Cause this is what it feels like from our government.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, definitely a 30-06 entry wound, and just the repercussions that would have taken place to Charlie's neck and his body. If a 30-06 actually connected with his neck, it would have been horrible. And not only
looked like a paint balloon got blown up. Like it would have looked like one of the art installations where they hang balloons of paint and throw darts at the board. Yeah. It would have been bad. Yeah.
It probably would have mainly decapitated him. If not, it would have cut at least most of it. And it would have been really bad. It would have been so bad. I have a question about I hadn't heard that possible theory about the receiver pack in the back, down on the possible like waistband of the back, having like, are you saying there was possible like little BBs in it, or no, just the shrapnel of the device itself? The device itself became shrapnel when it exploded.
Yeah. So we see little pieces of black plastic and little pieces. So I think that is the housing, right? Like I'm looking at this again. If I just look at the little receiver box, like it's black hard plastic. Mm-hmm. If I shattered this into a bunch of little pieces kinetically, I can think that a couple of those little pieces might end up places, and you don't want them to be grabbed and seen and looked at and said, what the hell is this? And tested and swabbed and found that they are covered with explosive residue. Mm-hmm. I also think that whatever hit and went into Charlie and came out the front is what they delivered as a payload to him. But I think it's the same thing that they pulled out of his bone and said, here's a fragment of a casing of a jacket of a bullet, maybe, possibly, but we don't know which bullet and we can't even call it a round.
Right.
So they pull a projectile out of him. And I've mentioned it this way before, but my parents hate that I always refer to things as metaphors and movies and analogies, because I want to paint the picture that I see this as being. So when I say there's a movie called Swordfish.
Yes.
Bear with me.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So there's the bomb at the bank center at the end with all the glass walls and the slow-mo of all of the ball bearings moving. This is what I think of on a miniature scale being strapped to Charlie Kirk to go one way. So if all you did was reinforce the little housing in which this whole thing sat, you could keep all of it from moving in one direction and all of it cupped into one other. And so you cup it against his back. And then when it goes and shoves everything into his abdominal wall. I think that's why you immediately see the camera behind him taken, not because they were afraid you would see he wasn't shot with a 30-06 from the back angle, but because they were afraid you would see other things coming off of his shirt from the side. It looks that much more obvious if you're seeing from the back that his back mic explodes. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. And that why Terrell did what he did with the video when he gave it to Candace and not actually just gave her the video.
And then you think about it one more level over. So the Swordfish scene where they blow that ball bearing bomb and it goes everywhere.
Yep.
If instead it's going just in one direction, what if they pull one or two or whatever of those little things out of him? What do they call that? Because in the legal documents, they call it a jacket fragment, possible carved up against the bone. We can't even tell if it's a round of a projectile of a bullet, but there it is.
Yeah.
So that to me is like, okay, well, whatever that is what was packed into his mic that blew through his abdominal wall, that made sure that the blood we saw coming out of his neck was pouring, but not gushing, because that means the heart was already stopped, right? It didn't go splurt, splurt, splurt. Correct. To the heartbeat. It went bloop, bloop, and from the brain. Yeah. So at that point, like it's just blood loss. There's not even a heart pumping.
Correct.
As soon as they hit him, he was done.
Right.
And
it's just what's in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you heard of John Aaron Bray?
Yeah, I actually connected with John on Twitter because I saw his theory, and since
What
this all
makes you
happened,
think so he thinks obviously the mic's up here that does it, and then it separates, and then it shoots across, and then I think he says it's either a piece of the battery or a piece of the internal circuit board of inside that road mic that ends up going in, and it lodges for like a second, and then the pressure build up behind it, and it's why we see the wound, but we see no blood, and there's like a, I don't know, 0.4 or a 4-second delay, and then we see the blood pour out. What makes you lean more towards something on the back and going through and coming out instead of the front one coming across and going in?
it's possible, right? I don't know that I don't believe that. I'm totally open to seeing more of his theory.
Yeah.
If that's what John says, I'd love to hear more. I looked at, and maybe foolishly, cartoonishly, I made it like a meme style. So I put this on X a couple weeks ago of two pictures where you can see Charlie with the lapel mic clipped, and the zoom in on it is, here's the beeper that Israel will be using in this scenario. And then the guy in the corner, Rick Cutler, across from Charlie, when he's watching him, he mounts his arm, he does the little trigger push. I think you see a couple different things happening there. I think Rick Cutler is hitting the detonator plunger. I think that is what you're seeing there. I think that's timed perfectly from the angle behind and to the right of Charlie, where you see Rick Cutler mount his arm, put his hand on what looks like a pen plunger, and click it down. And when he clicks it, the thing blows and Charlie goes down. Just prior to that, the man standing to Charlie's right, who is eagle eyes, glasses, he's doing a couple of maneuvers.
Dan Flood.
He fumbles with something else in his pocket. I think that is the arming receiving trigger. So I think what he's doing is he's got in his pocket down here. He's gonna click, make sure it's on. That's the fumble that we see. Now he looks to the other guy. He then moves his arm. So now it's in position. He knows armed. As soon as he does that move, you hear the mics all go funny on the PA and on the big podium mics. You see it all go funny, and they're all screwing around, messing with, and they're all looking at each other. And you see the question get renewed and asked again. And then Charlie picks up the mic and says, great. This is after they've had their first mic issues they've ever had. And it's because I think that little receiver plunger was just clicked in the pocket of Dan Flood. So I think he hits that. I think that little mic is now receiver ready to arm and detonate that plunger. That's, detonate the device that's sitting on his hip.
I got you.
Or under his rib, under his last rib. And then I think you have Rick Cutler standing in the audience with a direct line of sight, waiting for the perfect moment, because we're not seeing it from the back. We're seeing it from the front. So Rick needs to see it from the front to see what we will see. And he pulls it at the right time. So it's timed to happen. And I think we can see on video, Rick hit that detonator in his front pocket. He does this, he mounts his arm and goes.
Interesting. Have you heard of a guy named, go ahead.
I was going to say, just like these Israeli beepers, they made a big deal about, we blew up Hezbollah. They didn't see it coming. No one's electronics are safe because we know the secret to what the gold is inside there. And Israel's very funny about the tech that they used. They just said, we planted explosives within the device. But I'm almost wondering if maybe they can blow up devices just by you overheating a battery or by shorting out this and then doing this. And I don't believe when someone says they have to have known prior to which device they want to blow up. Like, I'm not going to credit them with that, because if they have some kind of 0-day bleeding edge technology to blow up any new iPhone, like maybe they just say, hey, every new iPhone made 17 plus and on has to have these components, because they're components that we can also wirelessly blow up in your pocket if we need to. Just like how every new car will have an auto stop feature so that they can stop you if they think you're drunk
or falling asleep.
Bingo. So like, okay, I'm running out the ground ball in my head thinking this is what they're telling me, but every time they tell me something, they're lying, and it always serves them. So what's the lie they're telling me that serves them this time? And I don't believe that one mic alone would be the thing that would kill him. I think they have multiple redundancies.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
So that they have a mic that blows up in his abdominal wall. He goes to the ground. I think when he goes to the ground, they're doing worse things to him to make sure he does not get up. Like when you finally, a deer goes down and you put one knee over, and then you make sure that the deer is dead. Okay.
Yeah.
So like, why is it that all the guys talking on Charlie Kirk's security team say, oh, we felt so bad. They're shaking. And they're like, we felt so bad showing up at the hospital. I keep wanting to say hotel at the
Yeah.
hospital with, blood all over us. It looked like we were just in a firefight. We had blood head to toe. I'm like, why would you have blood head to toe? The car didn't have that much blood. Unless they're literally like, okay, sounds gross, but didn't Victor Marx just say in another video to Sean Ryan 2 years ago that when he made his first kill, his dad took the blood and wiped it down his face and in his mouth and said, now you're a man because he killed someone? Takes the blood, wipes it in your face and mouth. Cut to Charlie's whole security team wearing special glasses, not taking those off to do CPR or first aid. But they all admit they showed up to the hospital covered in his blood. To me, it just screams like, are they doing some sick ritualistic, like take his blood and do the ooga booga paint on their face on the car ride over? They had multiple people calling the police and saying an SUV just screamed down on the highway with a body hanging out. And people are, it looks like there's so I can imagine if the hospital staff see 6 dudes carrying a dead guy in and they're all covered in his blood and they look like they were just wiping themselves in it. It's all very gross to me. Why did they all need changes of clothes brought to the hospital? Why would they have that preemptively planned out? Why would someone say, hey, Charlie just got shot. I'll meet you at the hospital. Yes, bring the bag in the back seat that already has my change of clothes in it that I will need because I knew I was going to be covered in paint today. Like it seems nuts to me.
Yeah.
But the people who go and play in blood and do ritualistic sacrifices and swing chickens over their head and shit, those people would be planning for that. They don't mind. They would get crazy bloody like the American Psycho. They laid down plastic beforehand if they could.
Yeah. And what was I going to say? Yeah. So when they're supposedly
Zebra, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but Zebra in your chat, Zebra Z, raises a good point. They ask, why does the FBI need the hospital footage? Right? Isn't that odd? Like, again, just play like you're in my head for a second. Are they coming in completely looking like they just not only like carried a dead guy in, but committed a murder? Like, are they doing war paint with his blood? Is it so obvious when they walk in that they had much more than a helping hand in this, that the FBI needs to cover that? Because if that video ever leaked, can you imagine the front security camera footage of the hospital? They see Charlie's body limping in and they can use AI and determine that is his face. That is him. And then they see all these dudes, but their faces are covered in blood and they look like they're a volleyball face in Castaway.
Yeah. It's so hard to know with Brian Harple, fact from fiction, because he tells so many fantastical lies on the Sean Ryan and on the Gary Melton, and they're contradictive to the video evidence from that day, and they also contradict each other. those 2 interviews that he does. Definitely.
Rhainita makes a good point. She says they were rejoicing, and that it could be as simple as that. Like, take the ghoulish, cartoonish, Halloween style question that I have away. Like, maybe they're not playing in blood, but maybe they are just doing a couple of high fives and freeze frames at the end of Top Gun. Maybe that's how they're doing this, and they're thinking like mission accomplished. They're on the phone saying, in Hebrew, yeah, BB, we did it. It's all good. It's been accomplished. Mission success. And then they realize, fuck, the cameras above us have audio, don't they? Hey boys, like we need these. Like, is it that simple? It could be.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably multiple reasons why they had to take that video footage from the hospital. I definitely also think that, well, I think he was dead when he hit the ground. Other people have speculated because of the 911 calls, and that we didn't see, any CPR, that some people think that maybe he came to in the car and they finished him off in the car. And that's why it looked like someone was trying to get out of the car. And that would explain a struggle and then more blood on all of them, possibly. But then that's hard for me to parse out, because like, if the blood that we saw pour out of his neck was what it was from the brain, and we didn't see it spurt because his heart was done, then he was probably done then. So
I think it's more likely that the story they're telling today of, we had Harpole hanging on and we had another guy holding him by the belt as the door was flying open, and they were all heroes.
Yeah, so dumb.
I mean, they could have just held the handle above them in the back of the car, because that's where every oh shit handle is.
Or move Charlie's feet. Just move his feet and shut the door.
But okay, so people see that they have a guy hanging out the door. or hanging out of the car while they're flying down the road. I don't know that they would necessarily risk like OPSEC by just hanging his body out.
No, for sure.
Right. Cause like that would be visible. Someone's dash cam could catch that, and that could be on the internet before you can stop it. So I don't know that they're like doing that. I think what they're trying to cover for is the fact that they were maybe themselves out the car. I don't know. I'm not going to be so foolish and short-sighted as to think like they can't go and get any camera from any camera or every video from every camera that they pass if they want to. Like, you know, the FBI can go knock on your door and say, you know, you drove past an event today. We need to see the video and have you not any wiser to what you might have captured.
Yep.
But I'm also I'm trying to think of every possible solution to the different things we've heard and then see like what makes the most sense, what has the most overlap, where can we actually triangulate the truth to be?
Yeah.
I don't know what happened in that car. I doubt he came back to life. I don't think he was putting up a fight. I think if anything, they were doing things improperly with the corpse or otherwise not doing the things they said, because there is a huge oddity to me when they show up to the hospital and Harpool says, we dragged Charlie in there. We put his body on the gurney and then they wheeled him into another room. They started working on him. And he says, and I felt so bad for the hospital staff because of how we must have looked when we showed up. Even with all the things they see, we must have looked worst. And I'm thinking like they're in the ER. They see guys who fall off a bike and get ground under a truck. Like
even motorcycle crashes.
That's what I mean. So like imagine them thinking that they must be ghoulish in appearance.
Yeah, so it was weird for him to say that, like an ER and an ICU and like a surgeon, like it's like a Tuesday. It's like a Tuesday for them.
So it's a tell. It's a lot like if a lady says, "Oh, I could never go to church. I'd burst into flames."
Yeah,
it's a funny joke, but you're also kind of admitting that you are like the whore in the joke.
Yeah.
So like, what is he saying when he says, "Yeah, the hospital staff, I felt badly for them. They must be scarred." Not because of what they saw in Charlie, but because of how we were acting and looking when we were there with them. Like, okay, how could a hospital staff like wheel someone in who's been a gunshot victim and they're still alive and they're gasping for air, and then they point and they say he did it? Like, I don't think that's what happened with Charlie, but that's the same level with which they're handling this. They're like, yeah, we felt guilty as sin being there, and the hospital staff even knew. They looked at us like, ooh. Like, that's how I'm taking his statement. Like, he's got guilt. He's there and they know because of how they look. Like, they look guilty as sin.
I definitely think that they look guilty as sin for sure. And I mean, I really hope, you know, I've heard so many, and I've spoken so much on this, and I'm sure you have as well, but I hope it doesn't turn into like JFK, where we find out for ourselves in the public and we kind of have an idea as to who did it, how they did it, why they did it, but we never get a full-on governmental, you know, admission or investigation where anyone's ever held accountable, and where we actually get all of these specific questions answered. I hope it doesn't end up like that, but as each month goes on and less new information is coming out, I don't know, it kind of disheartens me a little bit as to what the end result will be.
I'm trying to stay from being demoralized by being excited and jazzed by the pattern recognition. Like, I'm not saying that facetiously, but I mean, you have to, in a way, kind of like build up something in your head and say, okay, well, we see the pattern in the last couple of years. Like I've said, every time they have told you Iran has done a thing, Iran has made a threat, Iran has caused a PSYOP, it hasn't been them.
Right.
And so I can zoom out and say, okay, well, I don't know that we're going to get the government ever coming out and admitting that they, had a hand in covering up the assassination of Charlie Kirk, or that some other foreign entity eventually is named for having done it, or anything like that. I don't have hope for that.
Right.
But I am made more hopeful and optimistic by the fact that more people see it. More people are able to see on the day it happened.
Yeah.
Oh shit, Israel killed him. Yeah. Right. Like, my post, to be fair, my pin post did not get any attention all of August, right? It was a non, attentive reply to Harrison Smith's post when he had said, someone's going to kill Charlie. That's what Charlie thinks.
Correct.
So no one even knew or really cared that I had said what I did until it happened.
Yeah.
And then they said, it happened. Everyone knew. It's super obvious. Look at what Israel did. So I'm kind of made more optimistic by just that fact that like since
Mhm.
October 7, 2023,
Mhm.
Israel has lost its
Yeah.
grasp in the media. It's
Yep.
lost its grasp in social media that they had to
Yep.
buy TikTok.
Yep.
It's lost its footing in Congress, so much so that Massie has, by contrast, exposed them that they have to get rid of him in the most obvious and transparent way. That they can't stop stepping on rakes. They've painted themselves into a corner and left only rakes as their way out. So like they feel damned if they do and damned if they don't. They're just going to keep doing, and it's damning them.
Yeah.
They continue to do these psyops and they continue to blame the same group every time. It's always whoever Israel wants us to go after next.
Right. Yeah.
And so, when Charlie says some of these things publicly, and it's not just me, but many people saying Israel's going to take him out, and then he gets taken out. It's not just me sounding like a crazy person saying,
Right.
hey, Israel did it, but it's like half of the internet agreeing
Right.
and the other half being open to it. So it's
Right.
like, I feel optimistic that way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with that. Did you know? So John Bray talked about, besides the pagers that actually went off on the individuals and of the, Hamas members, there was another set of devices that exploded, the walkie-talkies. Do you know about those?
No.
And those exploded without being turned on and without, I think, the batteries in them or something like that. So that kind of leads more towards your theory that
frequency reactive gold filament. Yep. Yeah. Every single electronic device has gold filaments and gold inlays and gold used in the process. And it's a weird thing that every single ancient, group has always been told, like, you need to worry about, process, mine for, and always give us the gold.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, it just seems weird to me. Like there's some stupid harebrained theory I have that Israel has unlocked the, true nature or magic, or I shouldn't say Israel, but like the elites of the world understand how to use some of these things that we don't. And whether it's, a lead part with a cobalt, with a silver and a gold filament,
Right.
I think if they beam a certain frequency in the air, these things will just pop. I truly do. I think it's like popcorn put in a microwave. I think these little gold filaments are just ready. I don't know. Again, totally baseless theory, just for me watching things going. But I wonder, because like you've said, they have an electronic device that has parts and pieces, but no thing in it that you can see is an explosive, and they can make it blow up. Is that directed energy where I
was going to say maybe
where they determine the device's location and then hit it? Or is it, I don't know. Again, just a very strange thing. I know that certain things react to certain frequencies.
Yes.
I know that in ancient times, they're supposedly moving large stones through levitation, not by releasing the weight of it, but by putting an acoustic frequency through it such that it vibrates itself up off the ground, and then they can give it a shove. Right. So I understand that process. I can imagine if we don't know and they do, they might be able to say, hey, flip the switch on the radio emitter and make it hit, whatever billion hertz and blow up that guy's receiver over there in, Afghanistan. And we'd be none the wiser to how they do that.
Right. Yeah. I definitely think, there's for sure technology, whether the Northrop Grumman, the different deep state, military industrial complex, whether that be in the private sector or even within the military, technology that we don't even know exists, and Israel would definitely have access to stuff like that, right? Like them and us would probably have some of the top-notch stuff, and they wouldn't let us know that they have that stuff. And so like we see stuff happen in real life and we're like, that doesn't make sense. Even like what happened in 9/11, right? Like there's a lot of different stories as like there was no one even on the planes. Like we had the ability to remote control them, that like no even like well-seasoned pilot could have done some of the maneuvers that they did. There's just yeah.
And looking at directed energy as a use without even necessarily knowing that it exists at that point in time. 2001, you see a lot of the video from the ground maybe shows it best because of the angle. So you're not catching a lot of dead light. Right. You're seeing the dust falling off of the columns of the buildings as they're coming down. And then the column never hits the ground. It just is dustified.
Yes.
And as it's falling, it becomes as if like you're looking for the figure with which all the dust is coming off. And then it is nothing. It's just a cloud.
Have you seen the documentary on the lady that like she was some sort of, and she She was on the PBD podcast, actually.
I saw she was on it maybe 6 months ago, and then I saw that documentary and I watched the short clips of her video and then went and saw out her movie.
She's like really smart. She's not the best speaker to watch in like a podcast kind of setting, like most like entertaining. But definitely, I think the evidence that they used a directed energy weapon and that they dustified, and that's kind of what led me to believe you probably saw her because she uses that terminology, that they dustified the Twin Towers. And you literally watch it happen, that you see this steel column, this beam falling, and then you just see it just disappears into dust. It never hits the ground, you know? Yeah.
It is odd to me that, and I hate to, I mean, I understand that the Marvel comics were written before we were given the exposition of 2001. So I'm not suggesting that Marvel movies are coming up with this because they need to do exposition themselves. But, you know, the whole Thanos snap and watching people get dusted or, you know, splintered away. I don't think that those things are put into the zeitgeist for nothing. So I think if we had direct energy weapons as early as 1947, which we did, because that's how we supposedly took down the first UFO, right? We see a UFO coming, it's alerted to on our radar systems. And so we beam the frequencies way up and we blop it out. And we realize we can overwhelm anything flying if we just beam energy into the air. Now we can direct it instead of using an array system. So, so that's kind of how I figured this that far. We've had direct energy since the 40s. They've had weaponized it since the 60s. And yet we're told these things are happening through the 70s and the 80s, but we don't know, and we can't blame directed energy, and you're never allowed to guess. And so I start to look at all these things and go, gold blowing up in your pager is not, you know, what is it? Something in the, I don't want to stammer over this, but there's a rapper. It's called Gold and a Pager. Gold and a Pager. Obviously, the cool kids with a little bit of gold and a pager. So this is a track that I feel like is just imprinting on the society all the wrong things from all the wrong, people in your neighborhood. It's meant to be fun for the kids to want a gold chain and a pager like they did in the 90s. If you were a drug dealer, then you knew that you just needed a gold chain and a pager. But this is like the mentality of Israel having over the rest of the world too. And so it's just ironic to me that like, these are the gifts that they give Donald Trump. Hey, we're going to give you a nice golden pager, a gold pager to show you that we really love you. This thing over here, we just blew all these people up with, we're going to dip one in gold and give it to you. And it's not at all a threat.
Right.
It's very strange.
Yeah. It's definitely a threat, you know? Oh my goodness, there's so much as we're talking, and I might write stuff down as we talk, because like as you're saying things, I get all these ideas, and then I'm like, I don't want to like not look at you when you're talking because it makes it look like I'm not listening. But then I'll forget because there's so much here. Let's see. Okay, Lance Twiggs. What about people that like, whether that be, what's her name, Elizabeth Lane, I think, and there's I think a couple other people that went to the court hearings that supposedly spoke with not the lady that was, her face was all blacked out on News Nation or whatever, Lance Twiggs's family member that really wasn't Lance Twiggs's family member, like, you know, hasn't ever seen him in like 10 or something more years and like really wasn't a family member, but other actual supposed family members have been at the hearings. Do you think those are possible not actual family members then, like also possibly agents of some kind, then just they're like kind of a crisis actor in some way?
Just so I understand, of Lance Twiggs, you mean?
Right, because didn't you say that Lance Twiggs is not a real person possibly?
What I'm saying is, I mean, he's a real person insofar as he can have a picture and a photograph of him pumping gas, but I don't think that he named Lance Twiggs is a real, like, you see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, no, that's what I was saying.
Like Tobias Funk is not a real person, but he is a character on Arrested Development. The way that also, I think this guy is the name of a character he's playing in real life, like a crisis actor. But I don't think that the name, like, okay, this is totally just my own opinion. My own suspicion or speculation, but like, a guy who's super effeminate, gay, and into trans furry stuff, and he goes by Lance Twiggs. Like, everyone can hear that sounds silly. It sounds like a game name that you would come up with in an ad lib. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, find 2 euphemisms for a penis, and that's the guy's new stripper name. Like, okay, Lance Twig, come to the stage. So that's where I go, is this guy even a real name? Is this supposed to be like in our face foolish to even think that this is serious? So when someone says, I'm Lance Twiggs's aunt, Barry Twigs, I'm like, okay, really? And then who's your twin? Cherry Twigs? And then so that's where I start to think like, I don't know. I don't have a reason to believe that, but except for my own gut, which is like, who's going to name their kid Lance Twigs and not expect him to be a gay furry guy? You know what I mean? Like, otherwise the name just made him that. Like, he didn't give the guy any hope.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's so many weird things about Lance that for me, whether he's, an actual college kid that was actually in college and actually his name was Lance Twigs, or if he was planted there, right? Either way, like at some point I don't think he was just a friend of Tyler and had no part in this. And if anything, I feel like Lance had more to do with the planning, preparation, and managing Tyler than Tyler being like the one that did it all. Like when you look at like the Discord chat, the text messages, and then Lance is put in, FBI, what is it? Protective custody. And we've never seen him since. Like no one's seen him. No one, like with the whole United States, at least, and possibly parts of the world, want to find this guy. No one can find him. But they found a picture of him filling up gas in Texas and walking into some apartment, which it didn't even look like him. That dude looked like a roided out version of Lance. Didn't look like Lance to me. Like,
it's Lance when he's gotten all of his meth budget paid in full up front, and he looks very agitated on the road because he's not been sleeping. This is Lance when he thinks he's on the run and he's all in the clear and he can go by his real name. And I don't think it's Lance or Twigs. You know what just hit me? It occurs to me that I think we can think of him like gay Epps. Like, we have to go into the Charlie Kirk. Like, I think that's who he is. I think he is the Ray Epps of UVU. I think that he is the plant who acts like he's one of the guys. He's there living in the shared housing where he maybe is even aware or planned to live with this guy. He's convinced he's his boyfriend. He's put all of the right media in front of him. Hey, I'll wear the fox ears and, switch my tail around and make this guy who I can tell is gay way into me. And then I'll take his gun. I'll set him up for a murder and I'll drive off. And I wonder if he's, like pretending, or maybe he is gay, but he's going to gay this dude out. Tyler Robinson gets totally infatuated with this new lifestyle that he's been led into. And the guy just says, we got one on the line. And so they hook him, serve him up, and Lance Twigs is in the wind. And he can use his real name, grow his hair out later, and he'll, never be known as a case agent who helped create messages in a Discord server that was a spoofed server. Convincing enough, like when you see a phishing email and you have to really look carefully and see that it didn't actually come from Gmail trying to do a account recovery. It's a phishing scheme, and you're like, this is a fake email. How hard would it be for the FBI to spoof a Discord server and to populate it and to make it appear as if it goes within your Discord app. It's right there in Discord, but the server itself is actually run by the feds and everything within it is feds. And all you have to do is claim that you're one of these two people in this message exchange back and forth. This is what I think Lance Twigs did to Tyler Robinson. I think all of that. In addition to, I think that's why you see him kind of acting confident, running out, getting gas, being, why would you put someone in WITSEC? This is why I thought of Ray Epps when you were saying that he's in witness protection, because Ray Epps also pretends he's going to sue the government, says he has been harassed, and now he gets a settlement to go and retire, and he gets protection if he asks for it. So he's in like halfway witness protection. He's got a settlement from the government. He's paid. He gets his pension back. Everything's cool. We know he's a federal informant, but 5 years ago, after January 6th, he was just a guy and we weren't allowed to ask questions. What's going to happen in 5 years? Are we going to know Lance Twigs has a settlement from the Utah state and he's being paid out by the feds and his name's not really Lance? Like, what are we going to find out in 5 years? That's what I'm saying. That's my position. That's been my position since 9/10.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right. So I'm going to change gears for a second because we were talking about something before we went live regarding Massie, and I want it to be shared across the board as to I mean, what a tragic, this is kind of how it started, right? How sad it is that like Israel pretty much just proved that it could, in whatever way, but buy an election or fake buy an election, make it look like they bought an election, right? And what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. It's sad. We saw, I got a dog whining and crying. What's wrong? I got a lot to say about Massie. I did not stream last night because I was so frustrated watching what I knew already were going to be the returns. So I talked about it ad nauseum tonight. Some thoughts upon reflection. I think, one, you'd have been foolish to think that they weren't going to steal the election from Massie. And I think that's what we saw. I don't think that boomers have risen in the ranks of 55,000 in number and gone out to the polls or mailed in ballots in the 4th District of Kentucky to have over 100,000 total or 95,000 total votes cast. I don't believe that that's true. So it's frustrating already to look at what they've done. It's frustrating to see the people at the sidelines cheering and jeering and belittling and saying, look, how is it possible that that Massie could have an election stolen? What are they going to do? Steal it from their own guy? And they're pretending that they don't understand the nuance there. They're pretending that they don't know why Massie would be a target by Zionists. And so, yeah, it's a tragedy to see that we have an election that can be stolen, but some nuance to that. I don't believe that they actually had the 10,000 or so ballots that they needed cast by real boomers.
Right.
So I think the extra expense that they have put into these ads in Kentucky's 4th District created the reasonable doubt in the mind of the Massie voter. So you live in the 4th District of Kentucky and you're going to vote for Massie, but you're hearing in the news that the ad spends are historic and that everyone online is now being pushed to vote for the other guy. Yeah. You know you're going to vote for Massie. Your neighbor knows he's going to vote for Massie. But now the news story is that it's close. Polymarket, Kalshi, all these others are posting that it's close. They're saying they're saying the betting markets are close. So locally, even if that does not match, right, everyone is hearing the story that it's close. And then the day of, you're told it's been a hard week for Massie. He's had scandals to defend. He's had these things, rumors, and all these other cheating. And it creates in the mind of the guy in Michigan or in Idaho that maybe it is possible that Massie could lose because of all these different data points they shoved in your face. They told you that, hey, they told you the loss was coming. They told you that Ed Galrain was a Navy SEAL and that actually he was really supported and that actually his Instagram is not astroturfed and that actually all these other things are true. And they called Massie a liar. They called him a cheater. The Trump made 13 posts in one day about Massie being a bad guy. So is that not enough for you to believe when we steal it? And I said this before the show. I think this is exactly what they did in 2020.
I agree.
They will flood the zone with a smoke screen of propaganda and make you believe that the lie is possible when they do tell you it. So the lie is you lost honorably.
Right.
The truth is they stole it and they have done enough leading up to the steal to give you the pretext for it when you can go home and pat yourself on the back for running an honorable race. You know, Thomas Massie posted, he said, we ran an honorable race and we lost. And I think he's doing that to play the game and save face because the truth is they just stole the last seat that anyone could actually count on having a voice with. Any American can look at Thomas Massie and say he represents our actual interests and is fighting for our actual betterment as a country and as a locality. His own group, his own local constituents, 45 and under, voted for him over 30%. It was the margin. So they just had to convince the people nationally that the local boomers, the old yokel locals in Kentucky, they voted Massie out. Big mistake, but the boomers just voted against their best interests. And I don't believe that's true. What I believe they did was just convince the people, like in my own chat tonight they were saying, no, I think, they just spent enough money to convince people to vote the other way. And that's boomers. Boomers are highly receptive to, convincing and propaganda. And I'm thinking they're not, but you sure are, because you're believing the boomers voted that way.
And that they would even allow it to be up to chance like that. Like they would even allow it to be where we're waiting on to see if these boomers show up and see if our propaganda works. Like they're not going to chance that. They're not waiting to see if their propaganda actually worked. No.
And on the day of the election, they have a 45-55% split because they can't let it be too close.
Yeah.
And if it's within a few points, you'll say, well, look, margin of error and this, maybe we should do some canvassing in the spots where we think we might have had some funny business. So they make sure the day before the election, it still looks like it's Massie's. On Polymarket and on Call Sheet, it's Massie's election. The day of the election, they switch it to Galrain, and then throughout the afternoon, they flip it and they go, look at Galrain just ran away with this without any returns coming in yet. That is called kite flying. If I need to first see how you're going to react to something, I'm going to say that it's coming, watch for your reaction, and then tailor what I actually do to fit how you might react to it better when it comes. So political kite flying, when Mark Levin says we need to have more strikes, we need to send boots to the ground, the administration is looking at how people respond to that. And then they time it out. They tease it out. They might have Hegseth go out and say, we're doing a limited engagement just on the island. And then we're going to do another limited engagement, but just on this one mountain.
Right.
And then eventually you hear, oh, we did invade, but we did it so slow, we didn't even notice. And they just, sure enough, they told you what was coming while you screamed no.
Right.
And then they led you that way because it was the only way to look.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that's it's probably exactly what happened in 2020 as well.
Oh, and get this. The ATF picks the second highest ranked streamer on Rumble, a Philadelphian organization, to leak to for the ATF report about the Tyler Robinson gun and all of the different reporting on that. So remember, when Charlie Kirk was shot, we were all dying for information about who did what and who has what. And then Steven Crowder comes out. Now his channel and his show had essentially all but died, right? After his divorce and his berating his pregnant wife. It looked really bad. He looked like a grown-up Nick Fuentes with steroid muscles who did eventually have to touch an Ewe chick. So like he really is in a bad way. Like he looks like Nick Fuentes plus 10 years.
Yeah.
And so Crowder gets this miracle leak just to him from the ATF. Again, another kite flying by the federal administrations, the agencies, to say, we want people to see this as a left versus right, not what the internet is blowing up saying Israel just killed Charlie Kirk. Give them something else. So they leak to Crowder, a believable, credible person on the right who still loves Israel, though. Yeah. And then he can run the story that the ATF now knows the bullets had trans furry identifiers and writing on it. And what did everyone on the right said? Oh, the left did it. Oh, the left.
Yeah.
So that serves Israel. So why are they leaking that and to him and just to have a laser pointer on the wall so that we as cats go, like that's how I see that.
Yeah.
It seems like it's a screamingly obvious thing. And yet most people are willing to jump at the red meat
and just take it. Do you think Dan Bongino? I mean, because they're both on Rumble, and Dan is basically owns Rumble in a way. But you think he's the one that kind of just gave it to Crowder?
Oh no, I think the ATF went and leaked it to Crowder. But I mean, all of that is, like I said, like one hand throwing the ball to the other and going, we're just going to play a little inside catch. So it's like the ATF needs to give credibility to the narrative being built in the media. That is, it's the left versus the right. It's the leftists who killed Charlie. It's not Israel. It wasn't his being anti-Iranian war that got him killed by a foreign enemy, by our own people here on the States. No, it's instead some leftist and it's a lone gunman, and we need to sell that narrative. So the ATF can help sell it first to the people most critical by giving it to one of the people they think we would listen to. Right. They say they listen to Crowder, give it to him. And so Crowder gets the leak from the ATF, and then Crowder gets to be the one to add credibility to the story that it's a leftist.
Yeah.
Then you have guys like Jack Posobiec, P-O-S Obic, who goes out and says with the crucifix in his hand, oh, we gotta all be Catholic, we gotta all raise and I saw a leftist lone gunman kill Charlie Kirk. We all saw it. Everyone repeat what I say as like it's a mantra. It's a cult chant.
Yeah, he actually said it in a cadence, right? There's so much evidence. He what did he say? He confessed to the cops. His parents turned him in. Like he was saying this like over and over, like in this certain like rhythm and cadence, and over. He was drilling it in day and day out, just drilling it in.
It's hypnotic.
Yeah, it is. And
because they would
so
like you to take it as if it is a heartbeat of truth. Like it is, this is just going to be the truth. We know what it is. This is the case. And if anyone slows down a second and says, that's not true, that's actually not the case. Like that we know that's not true. It stops working. And so I see some of these things and I look back at posts of mine from, 2018 where I'm responding to Jack Posobiec and I'm like, I can't believe that I ever thought this person was a real or valid person in the media at all. But that's why he is there. Yeah. And that's why we know his name and he doesn't know mine or yours.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, think about all the people that like, I never did, but I probably, like if I maybe was more aware of him at the time, ever thought that Ben Shapiro was credible. And
yeah. I think I watched Ben Shapiro's show at one point, was a subscriber to the Ben Shapiro podcast. In 2018, when I started doing the Borum Forum, which was an audio only interview show, when I talked to people like Juanita Broderick and Ron Coleman and just like asked them questions about politics and tried to get their perspective, not just like on an issue, but like hear from them.
Yeah.
This was right during the election of Donald Trump. And so he had just won 2016. I'd asked Juanita Broderick things like the Me Too movement, because she was raped by Bill Clinton. So it was like relevant to ask her questions about that at the time. I never thought that people would ever get to like when I'd interact with someone like Jack Posobiec, or I'd interact with some of these other people who are today obvious shills. I can look at them now and see like Tim Pool took the money and then took the money and then took it again. And it's disgusting. But I wonder, I'm like, a guy like Ben Shapiro, I listened because I thought he had a well-produced show. I then assumed that what he was saying had credibility. And now looking back, I can see a lot of these people who don't have a lot of production value, don't have a lot of high quality. They're putting out awesome content. And then we see the really high quality, high content, high quality, high production value people putting out nonsense.
Yes.
And so Crowder is the perfect example. I don't know if he has like 8K cameras, but they're super nice cameras, super great board switching, all of that. He's got a staff of 50 people.
Yes.
The ATF chooses him to leak info to, and he cannot sell a fucking show. I feel so bad.
And he's not the only one. There's so many. Like, there's this Australian chick called like Erin Molan or Milan.
Gina Milan.
Oh, it's Erin.
Is that okay?
It's a blonde Australian lady.
There's someone on X who has a hard time with reality too. Goes by that name.
She's totally a shill too. It's crazy. I mean, there's so many, and it's like they're not even trying. What's crazy to me is that anyone like honestly watches them and thinks that they're honest, independent, like American citizens, like telling the truth. Do you really? I don't know. I just have a hard time believing that there is people out there that like tune in and watch them and go like, yes, I agree with Ben, or I agree with,
I think it's people that tune in and they want someone to say what they think louder.
Yeah, like confirmation bias.
You're in the garage, you're working on the truck, and you pop the hood and you want to hear your own thoughts back at you louder and in a nice voice.
Yeah.
And before they had Rush, and they would hear Rush and they'd be like, yeah, my uncle on the box really knows what the hell's going on. and like that would be invigorating, and they'd feel like a man listening to that. They'd grab another bottle of beer and listen to Rush tear into the Muslims or whatever the thing was.
Yeah.
And now they hear Porky on steroids, and they're like, I don't want to hear that. Actually, it's actually the most grating and disgusting voice, and they've heard mine, so like I understand. It's not listenable. And now that people have actually like separated the truth from the show of it, they can go, those eyebrows aren't true, and neither are any of the words coming out of his mouth.
No, yeah, I agree. Oh my goodness, dude, that guy. Okay, I got a question for you. What do you think about? Because you obviously are you're interested in a lot of the same things I am, which is really cool. So the UFO file release, or like kind of like the Jeffy Epi file release, the redacted file release, where they like hide in old photos that have been in circulation for a long time, mixed in with some fake ones and then some actual new ones. But then this is all coming, we are in the age of disclosure, right? You have the Age of Disclosure documentary that came out as well. Then you have S4, the Bob Lazar, documentary. That was really cool. If you haven't seen that, I would recommend seeing that. That's really cool. That just came out as well. And then we have Steven Spielberg's, what is it? Disclosure Day, which is coming out in like 3-4 weeks on June like 16th or something with, what is it? Emily Blunt, I think, is the main actress. all ahead of where people like Chris Bledsoe, I don't know if you know who he is. He's a pretty big person in the space. Also, what's the guy? He did, he's a documentarian. He did
Jeremy Corbell.
Well, Jeremy Corbell is definitely one, but there's the other guy that did the Virginia case. He's been on Joe Rogan. He's been on all the, I'll think of it later. All these guys have said for a long time, and same with like, I don't know, is it not David Grush, but there was another guy that 2026, 2027 has been dates that have been floated for a very long time as really important dates when it comes to disclosure and possible either a fake staged invasion or appearance or a real one. What are your thoughts of what's going on with all this right now and the timing of everything?
I don't know what to make of that. I take a really skeptical, like, dumb guy look at everything, because I think in my heart I am one. I've seen my mistakes that I've made. I know I'm a dumb guy, so I can look at all these things happening, and even if I have like a smart moment, I have to look at them like a totally base primate like dude and just go like, what are they doing? And so I first just wonder, why is it that, like you said, why is it that we're hearing this now? Like, what does it now serve? Like, you know, when mom calls dinner and it's actually, you know, 2 more minutes until it's ready, but she just knows that you're going to take your time coming down the stairs, then that's why she's saying it now. So like, why is it that they're telling me about 2027 at the late end of 2024 into 2025?
Yeah, that is when it started being said publicly. True.
Right after an election.
Yep.
After we were told, hey, all these UFOs are Iranian. And we all went, not believing that. Now they're going, actually, we were told that something big is coming, but it's a couple years out. It's like, okay, well, you just changed what you told me that thing was. Now it's something different. I was never told that 2027 was a big date. I know Chris Bledsoe has made his thing. I just wasn't aware of it. But now you're seeing like multiple different, we were told different, not connected points of information saying the same date. It seems like it may be coordinated to make you think that that's organic and that multiple pieces of data giving you the same info. I don't know that. It makes me wonder this. Why did I hear first about the World Economic Forum 2020 or 2030 plan for the one world government? Why did I hear about that? And why did we first hear all about that plan? We saw them like, you know, do all their, you know, sit down white paper testing 2019, 2020, all about 2030. And we all in the West collectively said, no, thanks. And they kind of went ahead with it anyway, politically, but we all got our, you know, no out socially, and it doesn't matter. Now they're telling you, hey, another big, silly PsyOps limited hangout coming in 2027. And we're all just kind of going with it. And I don't know what it leads us to. I don't know what the Project Bluebeam limited hangout or whatever otherwise PsyOp is coming is. I don't know what it is, but I don't believe, just because I'm a Bible reader, that we can say we know the date and time that you know, that there is going to be an act of God. So
right. Or a supernatural event kind of thing. Yeah.
Right. So unless it's not supernatural, like, hey, we can predict an earthquake because we can try to make them.
Yeah, because they can.
So they can tell you an earthquake is coming at the end of the year, and then they can also make it happen and tell you they were prophetic. And unless you knew that they caused it, you might think they knew what was coming.
Right.
Chris Bledsoe may have been told by something or someone 2027 is a magic date. He doesn't know what it is.
Right.
He says it's a woman.
Yeah.
I don't know what technology we have or that other things. So you got what I'm getting at? Like, they're telling you it's one thing. I can almost be certain it's not that one thing now. Correct. Based on this alone, because they're not going to be fully and completely correct
or honest with us.
Right.
Yeah. And they've had the technology for a long time to project like a hologram. They did it in South Africa, I forget when, of like the second coming of Christ, and they projected it in the skies, and it was like a crazy event that happened.
They did it with Tupac in 2015.
Yep.
They had a stage with Tupac. So, okay, that's easy to do on a stage where you just set it up in 40 hours. How can you imagine the technology that they have that we don't know about, that they've been practicing with out in the night desert somewhere? And like, can you imagine the thing that they want to eventually unveil on you and have you think that it's a real life alien encounter and not some other thing? Like you had asked about Disclosure Day and the other documentaries that have come out. I haven't seen a couple that you named. Obviously, I haven't seen Disclosure Day, but I think if you wanted to get, if you wanted their own like belief, or maybe this is the dumb way to say it, if you wanted to get a full, complete picture of what they want you to believe is happening. So this is not what I think is necessarily true. It's not what I think we ought to believe.
Right.
But if you got into their brain and you saw what they want you to think is real,
right,
you would look at Steven Spielberg's mini series that he released on ABC in 2002 called Taken.
Yeah.
If the people have seen that, it spans 3 families in America over 4 generations, weaving their lives through plot narrative. In each of these, generative, story, there's like 10 episodes, or I think 10 episodes. In each of them, it's like a different era of time. And you're seeing the end of World War II, the Foo Fighters, which we're told UFOs, but they look a lot like MH370 orbs that are flying around a plane and then make it disappear. Like literally in 2002. This is why I bring it up. This is a TV show that was aired in 2002. In the opening scene, I posted on my X 3 weeks ago because it's so critical that people would see this and go, holy shit, I got to watch this show. It shows you what they say they did to MH370. It shows you orbs flying around a plane, and then and then the plane and the orbs are all gone. And the people don't know where they went. And all of those guys who were on the plane have their injuries recovered, as we've heard in other stories. The scarring is gone. The bullets are gone. They are missing 3 or 4 days, but they appear in a French field, and our guys don't know where they've been. So in World War II, you think your guys are gone. They got shot down, but they appear in a week and you don't know how they're not harmed. It's all very odd. The Foo Fighters there appearing exactly as we have been led to believe they appeared with MH370 is odd. In the entire show, if people have the time to watch it, it's on YouTube. You can watch it for free. It's been remastered by AI. I think Taken, that miniseries, again, Taken by Steven Spielberg, or I think it's called Steven Spielberg Presents Taken 2002. You watch that and you go, so this is what the government is doing. And this is, again, this is why I said it the way I did. If you want to know what they want you to believe, watch that show. Because that was like the original Disclosure Day, where they say, this is how each of these historical events actually fit into reality. You've heard about the abominable snowman and Bigfoot out in Alaska, but you didn't know that it was actually a human alien hybrid test that went wrong.
Right.
You've heard of these, sightings in the 70s, but you didn't know that they were actually checking in on hybrid babies they planted in the 40s and 50s. And so you start to see this and you go, well, why would they do that? And then they give you the answer. And it's because the aliens in the future, just like they said in Interstellar, in the film Interstellar from Christopher Nolan, they say in this TV show, the aliens in the future are us. They are our descendants. And that they lose something in the evolutionary line that causes them to come back to our time. And every so once in a while, genetically evolve us to find the branch of the tree that leads to them. That's what they have said in this TV show in 2002. And again, in Interstellar in 2014. And now again, with all these releases that I say are releases, but it's like propaganda released to you so that we believe 2027 is a date.
Predictive programming kind of thing.
Right. So what are they doing with our genetics?
Well, and believe it or not, that's been a theory. Like, you know about the Rendlesham Forest case in AF Bentwaters in England?
No, unless I've seen the words and I don't recognize them as I hear them. What do you, Rendlesham
Forest? You got to look it up. It's a UFO encounter on this Air Force base where we had the most nuclear warheads in Europe at the time. And it's, there's a common thread that some of these cases are us from the future, right? And that they are coming back to, and that's the other thing. Like, if you know, what's her name that did the whole thing on the cattle mutilations and the abductions, right? They're coming back to test, where we are. Like, that is a common thing that, like, some people that have had supposed real encounters with some of these craft or been abducted, that's what's either been told to them or what they've experienced, that there's something happened in our genetic code, or they lost the ability to procreate, or they're trying to come back to a point before a massive disease or some change happened in our DNA, and trying to either stop it from happening or find the right version of their ancestors, which lead to them. So it's interesting that you're saying that's on the Taken series.
Yeah, that's how I take it. I mean, that's how it is
Interesting.
exposed, right? They do a lot of exposition. So it's like the one character telling the other, like, we've learned that blah, blah, blah. And then, the one who's an alien is saying to the other, I think it's that this. And it's like, well, we just have to take that as the truth, because they're telling it to you as the truth as it is in this TV show. So take that for what it means. But like, I think that, they wouldn't have Spielberg make this miniseries with, I don't really care about who is and who isn't a big star and celebrity, but like every person in this TV show in 2002 became a huge star thereafter, or already was. So when you're watching it, you're like, dang, this is a star-studded cast of TV actors. They are obviously doing this for a reason. It's not just to entertain you after, 2001 because of 9/11, like bad time. Maybe we shoot a nice alien movie. This was already happening.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I take that and I go, I don't care if it's true, but it's what they want me to believe is true.
Yeah.
That they are telling me I shouldn't believe so much in like this. This is silly.
Right.
Everything in here is dumb. But their idea that 2027 is when the angel lady comes back and, she has been watching all over us. Like, okay, so that's not any more far-fetched. It seems more likely to me like they're dealing with demons and they don't know that that's what that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
What would a demon do but come to you and say, I'm here to help you.
Yeah,
and I'm here to lessen. Yeah, exactly. Like,
100%.
Yeah, we're told to like instinctively we would fear an angel and we would be fooled by a demon. And so what they're telling you is a foolish joke to me. Like, I'm ready for something to come down and make me afraid, not the other way around. I don't want to be loud and cool and be like, I'll worship you. That's not coming. That's not happening for me.
Do you remember, was it Reagan's speech at the UN? When
about how we would just need a one world government. If only we had an alien threat, then we could just have, He almost got people to fall asleep with that too.
Yeah, but it replays well.
Instead, it woke a lot of people up because they realized like, this is a problem.
Obviously Wernher von Braun, right?
I don't know him personally, but we're friends online.
Of Wernher von Braun, right? The head NASA V2 rocket program, brought over in Operation Paperclip, started NASA.
JPL.
Yeah. And one of his number one, have you heard of Stephen Greer? He's the doctor that turned Disclosure, the head of Disclosure before Disclosure.
No kidding. I'm going to tell you this. Stephen Greer gave me the idea that like broke my head open a couple years ago.
What?
When he said that he would just go out into the desert and sit with people and like mentally focus on and meditate on the thought, and that would happen. Yeah. Well, holy shit. I got to tell the internet that is real. That happens. And I, as a skeptic, was like, watch this. I'm a Catholic. I'm going to go out into the backyard and not have it happen. And I started looking at these, stars that were there. And oddly enough, like, dude, that is so real that if you're focusing on one and you're like, move, they'll just be like, just to show you that they have the intention to know what's going on. Does that sound crazy? 100%. Am I schizophrenic? Not yet.
No. Almost like everything that he has said has either been proven or has come true to some degree, or probably will, right? So he was talking about this paranormal that these crafts were piloted through consciousness, right? And that you can actually psychically call them, like, and now we know through this guy that just came out, but not just David Grush, this other guy that was part of the teams that would go recover the crafts, that they would have people. And have you seen the Skywatcher channel?
Mm-mm.
You got to check that out. They're doing it and they're filming it. Everything you just described.
Oh, I should go join them. I'm good at it. Every time I want to go out. Okay, I lived in Texas for a little while. No.
Okay.
No, but I lived in Texas for a little while after divorce, through at the end of 2024 and then a little bit in 2025. And I'd go out into the morning, like, 3 a.m, and just see, where you'd think. And again, I know this sounds insane. Probably
I've actually tried it too.
A handful of instances where I'm like seeing different things and okay, that's a satellite and this. And then so you start to and then it's almost like, okay, now I should open my eyes and look. And then sure enough, like, okay, that's new, that's different, and that's moving. And I could independently have a couple different people verify that this is the case. Cause we'd go out and watch and go, okay, now watch, that one's going to move. And we'd watch it move. And then we'd all sit back in the house later and go, why did none of us think to grab a phone? And I have this theory that it is not just like an instinct, like lizard brain or mammalian, like freeze up moment. Like, when a deer in the headlights, the deer freezes, deer doesn't think to grab his phone.
Right. Yeah.
So I wonder if like when we see that, maybe we're not being hit with something to make us stop and not think to evidence, to collect evidence.
Right.
But maybe it's something that because phones are still so new, it's not an instinct for us to grab and record because it's not in our like epigenetic memory. Like we would say, stop and stare, get a full eyeful, look at it all. Don't blink until it's gone. And then you are wide eyed and you're going to go tell the story
and go draw it or something like that. Yeah.
So we're asking each other, like maybe the front security camera would have picked it up. We're staring at it for 5 minutes, but maybe why didn't any of us think about so now in the future, if any time I go out and I see something like that, like I'm tempted to pull my phone out and I never do. And so I'm going to put that out to you and to your audience. If you're going to try this thing that Stephen Greer says, go out and try to psychically drive one, which I think it's so interesting why since the 60s and the
CE5, I think he calls it CE5. So close encounters of the fifth kind, which is where we're calling them to us, not the other way around.
I'm going to call it psychic driving because of the play on words that the CIA will use for MK Ultra. And it's the same exact thing. It's consciously controlling another thing. So they're using drugs to break down your consciousness so they can hack you. And yet you, if yours is strong enough, can just become its own transmitter and talk to those other. So I know sounds insane, but to meditate on that, go out and say, hey, if you're real, show me a thing. If you're real, let's have an interaction. I think it's no different than prayer, which is again why I say very hesitant to tell someone, go out and do this thing in the middle of the night. Go out, walk around until you see a star, and then pray to it, because that would sound insane. I think at some point, meditation is a little bit of prayer. But
for sure,
intention and putting your consciousness into like a thought
point.
Right. That I don't think is prayer. So I don't think that that's a problem. But it's interesting. I mean, you can say, are these things demons? I say some of them surely would be.
I think so. Some are.
I don't want to think the ones that I would, remember calling to in my mind and saying, come and do a dance over the sky with, so I can, see that happens. And then sure enough, they do. I don't want to think that those are demons, but I would also say like the little green men that the government says they're working with, that doesn't seem angelic to me.
No. And I've definitely done, because I've watched Stephen Greer for a long time. I've literally like even watched all his old school like lectures where he's like in a lecture hall just talking about all the different like documents and everything. But when the CE5, like I even had the app, where it like guides you through it, but then once you kind of learn the process and you understand it, then you can just go do it. And I've definitely been able to get into that right state of mind and consciousness and awareness and calm state and peaceful state, and ask just for them, like kind of just to show yourself, and then have you gone to the point where you're actually thinking of where you are geographically and you're going out from there? You're like taking your consciousness, like you're thinking of where you are in the United States, like almost geolocating for them so that they know where to show themselves to.
That's interesting. I don't know that I've ever thought too in depth as to how that would work.
He kind of talks you through. I mean, that's one of the parts of his thing of like helping really like them hone in on where you are. But anyway, I've done it before. And
I would answer that this way. You could have very detailed, concise instructions on directions on how to get to a place, or you can listen and hear the guy screaming down the block and find him. And I think consciously I was that guy. I'm just like, I think I was just like megaphone in my mind, and then sure enough, look up and see if anyone heard that.
Yeah. The other thing, so when I brought up one of Von Braun, he had his like #1 secretary. Her name is Carol Rosen, and Stephen Greer interviewed her multiple times.
#1 secretary, but never the #2, #3. They don't get any kind of credit. No interviews for them.
Well, I don't know if she's his secretary or she like personal assistant. I forget what her actual like
mistress. It's okay. We can say they're dead.
maybe it was, but that
She was my bottom bitch, you see. No.
he told her like the process of what was going to happen over the next, I don't know, 40 years. This was in like the 60s, that they were going to have like 7 wars in the Middle East, and it was going to be boom, 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 boom. Well, first it was going to be, Russia was going to be the enemy. Then they were going to have like 7 wars in 7 countries in the Middle East. And then eventually the final card would be this fake alien invasion card, or this fake alien, entrance, appearance, unveiling, and that, I don't know. That's just one of the, when we were talking about whether this was, coming or not coming, or real or fake. He's talked about this and told others, and same with Stephen Greer, that not to believe it when it happens as a real thing, but this is a way for them to get us to do what, Reagan was talking about. This fake alien invasion would usher us into this one world totalitarian government, right?
Yeah, I can totally see that. I mean, they don't want you to believe in a higher power that you answer to independendly.
Correct. That's for sure. Yeah.
So they need you to have an intermediary. And I think that's ultimately what we're seeing now, right? If you wanted to question anything politically, you'd have to go to the church. And now that people have kind of bowed out of the church in the last 60 years, they want you to look more to the politicians directly. Isn't that silly and scary? And think of them as like your community leader. And so it's just, when people are looking for a replacement for religion, they're going to look to their politicians, they're going to look to their celebrities, and then they eventually look to science. It seems kind of silly because
no, that's true though. That actually, it's sad, but it's actually true. It just shows you what a sad state we're in when that happens.
But there's optimism and hope in that. And I don't know who the quote is from, but it's somebody smart. And they said, a little bit of science, begets an atheist, but the full pursuit of science leads back to God.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And so I think, like, again, there's like, it's sad when you start to see society slip, but we know that, like, we've been fallen since the beginning, and it's not going to get better. And so there's kind of hope in seeing it that way, like having some perspective. Like I said, like, I don't think we're going to see the CIA come out and admit, hey, we knew what was going to happen when Charlie Kirk got killed, and we kind of actually had a hand in it. And, one hand on the wheel is better than none. Like, that's what they're going to say. Hey, Israel's taken over, but we still have some control domestically. I don't think we're ever going to get a report from the CIA that admits what they did to Charlie Kirk.
No, same with JFK. And
right. Yeah, so when you had said earlier, like, how do we have hope for anything to come about from this? I think we're going to continue to see in 5 years and in 10 years, more people give more interviews with more data that comes out. And in hindsight, it paints the picture fully. Yeah. So we look at COVID and we say COVID was released in November 2019 in Wuhan. They held the World Military Olympic Games at the end of November and early December 2019. They released it there and then so that the world's militaries would all receive it, contract it, get vials of it, and ready to disperse it in their own home countries, because they're all going to operate in unison. We're in the one world government today already, but they can't tell you because we would freak out.
Yeah.
So they pretend they're all on different teams, wearing different jerseys. They all go home from their big military world games. They release the virus among their populations. No one is at fault because they all willingly did it. And what did we see all through 2020? We see the government locked down, the economy get shut down.
Yep.
Half of the politicians who don't have the brain to stop their lips say what it is. Oh, AOC said, we got to keep the economy locked down so it hurts the people through the election. Otherwise, they'll vote for Trump. But they'll vote for the Democrat if they blame Trump for the lockdown. She said this. So we knew in August, she wanted to keep New York shut through November. When they say it out loud, we can see why. But when we don't hear them say it, we almost get sucked in. 5 years, 6 years later, after COVID and after 2019, when their impeachment failed, you can see in hindsight why they did all these things. You can see why they lied and why they coordinated the shutdown and why they released this. And I'm suggesting to us that we not get too honked off about the FBI and the CIA at the moment, because we know they're corrupt. We know that in 5 years, we will be able to look back with hindsight and see many more moving pieces than we can right now.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like we're in the forest, so we can't see all the trees.
Correct.
Let's get out of it. We'll
And-
look back and see it. And all the people today walking around telling us we're crazy for seeing the woods,
Yeah.
they're going to want to bite their tongue off in the future.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let me get through a couple of these and then we'll keep going. So Jim Bear, Matt and Tommy, this is a great collab. Cool. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate that. What Mystic gifted some memberships. Thank you. I know I usually get to this as we go, but this has been a pretty great, just nonstop good conversation. So it's been a minute. Renita said, ever see Manifest series on Netflix? I haven't. Have you?
Very similar. I have not watched it recently or all the way through, but I believe the synopsis is the people on the plane go missing, much like MH370,
Yes.
and then the plane reappears and lands 8 years later. So everyone has moved on.
Yes.
Kids are older, wives have remarried, and then here they are.
Yeah, I mean, there's a guy online. He actually has his own YouTube channel that has done the most research on MH. What is the number?
370.
Yeah. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Ashton Forbes.
Yes.
Yeah. 4 orbs, Ashton Forbes.
Yes.
Talk about your exposition. So dude, climb into my brain for a second. His name is Forbes.
Okay.
He's a computer scientist who has a penchant for content creation, exposing truth to power, all these different things.
Yeah.
He then gets a video released to him by someone who says they're in the military. They're whistleblowing to him directly.
Like the NRO or something. Yeah.
And they're releasing this video and they release the video online, and then they write him a letter saying, when he has attention on it, that they can confirm to him it's authentic. Now, if everyone just zooms out for a second and looks at this picture kind of oddly that's been painted, a guy with the last name. I made a big point earlier of saying the names are important. They either pick them or they choose the guy based on it because they think it's funny when we all don't get the joke. Huh. The guy's last name is Forbes. He has a neon sign behind him that says 4 orbs because it's his last name. The video that he has made a career on has 4 orbs in it, and his name is Forbes. So they chose the guy to be the guy that they would disseminate the information through, and they're laughing because we don't see that it's a big haha. It would be like if they went after a guy named Rooster Cogburn to release the story about how they have like a chicken hatchery being burned down during an election cycle.
I can't believe so symbolism, hidden in plain sight, in your face without, and their way to.
And he's an Israeli shill like you would not believe. He has posted on his X, I don't even need the 7,000. I'll do it for free. I'm a Zionist till I die. You are all low IQ anti-Semites. Anyway, check out my video that's totally real of MH370 with these 4 orbs. And then he makes a career explaining how the science works when no one can fact check or validate any of it.
Wait, so do you think it's real though? Do you think
I don't know what to believe of that, but I know that he says it's real. And also the Israelis say that he is like the untouchable science guy on YouTube.
And they want us to believe that. That's what they want us to believe.
It's like if someone said, hey, there's a way to hop through time and space. We can teleport technically, but the deep state calls it hopping. Anyway, my name is Tom Hopper. Welcome to the show. Like, do you understand how dumb we'd all think we'd have to be to believe it?
Yeah.
And yet Ashton Forbes has his 4 orbs story, and we're all like, okay, yeah, I buy it.
I've never seen his sign behind him. I don't know. I've seen him on other people's. He has 4 orbs.
No, he has a neon sign that says 4 ORBS because it's like license plating his name.
4 and then orbs.
Like it's ridiculous. And it's been pointed out to him that that's also his last name, and he's like, no, that's not related. That's just a coincidence. I'm like, yeah, to who?
There is no coincidences, bro. That's funny. That's so interesting.
So like that is where my schizo brain kicks in, and I go, this is psyopic, and it glows.
Yeah,
but the guy says,
yeah. Now my brain is going to be psyopic on that too, dude. That's nuts. What do you think is going to happen to Tyler Robinson? Do you think they're going to let him go to trial? Do you think they're going to Brian Koberger him and make him take a plea? Do you think?
I'm surprised they're not naming him like Shooter Robinson. They're like, I'm surprised they're not naming him stuff like that. I think they probably will have some kind of it's bullshit that they've charged this the way that they have. I don't want to get too I'm not counting out premonitions, and I'm not saying that I think this will happen, because I don't actually think that it's likely to happen. But here's some outcomes that I think are possible. I think it's possible that this goes the way that OJ went. And the trial with OJ Simpson, they mischarged him. They incorrectly charged their case. They tried to prosecute their case with him being the only person there, and the only person with the weapon, and the only person who killed anybody. And so the jury could not believe that the way that they plotted out the evidence. It did not line up for them enough. So people would say the LA prosecutor, the state prosecution against OJ was failed. I can see this going that way for Robinson. The prosecution against him, as you said earlier, the document doesn't even say he is on video shooting anyone. Like the state's case is all circumstantial. It's that he was here at this time looking around, and that he was here at this time doing this, and that he was seen here wearing this. None of that's criminal.
Correct.
And then they jump to, and now Charlie Kirk is dead, and we have his gun. We recovered it later. All of that is reasonable doubt to me. So I think the media is going to tell you he did it. He did it. He did it. You have Jack Posobiec saying in a cadence, "We all saw a leftist lone gunman shoot Charlie Kirk." Break. Okay, on two. And so I think you see this because they want you to think it's a foregone conclusion. He's guilty, and let me know when the sentencing comes out. Then when they say not guilty by this or whatever, or now the charges have been reduced and there's a plea deal and it's no longer murder, it's now accessory to murder, and whatever the other things are that ends up becoming, they will then use that as justification, saying we need to target, harass, and have some results made, some examples made of the podcasters and the speakers and the pundits and the comedians and anybody else who talked about this case, because it upset the case and it ruined the evidence. And they'll say, Jack Posobiec will be the first one to do it. We knew without a doubt he did it, and now he's getting off because of people like Candace, and because of people like Baron Coleman, and because of people like the Black Line Brief, and because of people. And so you'll have that happen. And this is already going to be,
it's already kind of happening with that stupid lawsuit.
This is why I said I don't want it to be sounding like I'm making a premonition. I don't want this to happen, but I think it's possible that they're already telegraphing and setting the pretext for it. They can't have Erika Kirk get away with acting out any more than she has, because it's not believable. So they're going to write her out of the script. They're going to have to clean her up and do her away with somehow. They're telling you that anytime someone criticizes her, it's Candace's fault and Baron's fault and yours and my fault.
Right. Yeah.
Because she can't lie well enough.
Yeah.
So you see where I'm going? So like,
yeah.
I don't know that Tyler Robinson is guilty enough for them to lie enough about it. I think he might get off or be acquitted, or otherwise have these charges get dropped or dismissed, or some otherwise happen that is not the hang him. I don't think they're going to get their execution that they want.
Right.
When that happens, I think they spin it. And instead of saying, yeah, we lied about the case the whole time, and it really wasn't so slam dunk solid, and yeah, maybe we did kind of railroad a guy. They'll never admit that.
No.
Instead, they'll say it must have been the free speech that we thought was we thought Charlie Kirk's favorite thing, free speech, was a good thing. And now to save Charlie Kirk's legacy, let's cancel and re-amend. And so watch as they don't actually rewrite the First Amendment, but they will have a chilling effect. And every single podcaster will be afraid to talk about Israel. They'll be afraid to talk about the things that come out of it. And here's the really dumb thing to me and you, like the lower level guys who do this, we will be under the impression that it's a chilling effect. But the guys like Joe Rogan, they get a call and they'll say very, very clearly, criticism of Israel is what got Charlie Kirk killed. Don't be one of them. Click. We'll hear it and see it in the world, and we'll just be like, yeah, they're going after podcasters because they upset the outcome in the Robinson trial. We'll see it as a cause and effect, but the big players at the top, they'll just be told the real truth. They'll be told, we don't give a shit. The trial is going to fall apart anyway, but don't you dare become the next Charlie Kirk. Don't you dare become the next Thomas Massie. And it'll be their agents and their managers telling them that. I'm thinking of a guy like Joe Rogan will have been told by multiple people that he knows, you might want to have a guest on to talk about Israel, but you personally do not say it. wouldn't you? Because like he's running a business. He doesn't want to lose.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
well, and I definitely think that like, just like with the JFK assassination and other, ops or things that are done, they have multiple outcomes, right? That they want to achieve with that, whatever, incident. And definitely like him being a podcaster and a public person who was, a freedom of speech absolutist and believed that asking questions and speaking the truth, holding power accountable was, one of the last things that kept us free, and him being like taken out was also kind of like a shot across the bow to anyone as well. And then like it leading into everything that we're seeing now and using our freedom of speech against us, whether that be through like attacking Barron or Candace or other big name individuals. I mean, they did it even when Joe Rogan or Theo Von started talking about it a little, and now this lawsuit, and then blaming Candace for other people's actions and behaviors online. And I mean, all that pushes us closer to them trying to limit speech in some way, shape, or form, or limit this medium in some way, shape, or form, or just scare us all to death. I don't know. Do you think like they'd actually like pass some sort of hate speech law or some sort of speech law that's so defined in such a way that it could just be applied anywhere when they see fit?
I think we're probably not far off from having some kind of media accountability lawsuit or media accountability claim where, and I don't want to give them ideas, but
I know,
but I think it would be the left's wet dream to envision a podcast conversation that happens on one day that then relates or causes or seen to cause, if they argue that it did, an event on a third day. They say by day 5, we need to make sure that never happens from ever again on Monday. So like Nick Fuentes could go on his podcast and say, I really don't love the fact that we have Islamic centers cropping up all around the country, and especially here in this one. Let me talk about this one in particular, and then does. And then we have an Islamic center shooting, and it's that one, and it's his fans that do it.
Yeah.
They might then say, listen, yes, you do have the freedom of speech. You can speak in public and say you don't like that thing. But when you record it and make a media creation of it and broadcast it like a show or like a Twitter post or like a whatever, now that's a permanent expression. And we need to make sure that we're regulating that because it can cause other things. So watch them say a bad event that was not caused by you or me or ever incited by or asked for. They'll say, hey, this mass shooter was a fan of these people. Now those people get a letter saying, your shows may have been incitement. We may be charging you. Time to chill. And then again, it's guys like you and me who go, we better chill because we can't talk about XYZ because we might be charged and pulled into a case we're not even related to. It's best to just not even worry about it. And I think that's where we're going to go, is they're going to have some kind of act. It will be against a person like Fuentes or Candace, someone who they already think is kind of a controlled op.
You don't think Fuentes is a Fed? Wasn't he at J6?
Oh, no, I'm saying like if you want to say a detractor of Nick's can call him an op and they'd be right. And a detractor of Candace's can say, why does she always stop at a certain point and never go full bore and call Charlie gay and say that it was all an op? Why doesn't she go that far? Because then she'd admit that she's also an op. She ran with him for years. Let's be honest. Let's be smart. She's a controlled propagandist like he was. He turned off on the owners that he answered to and they killed him. She's still working for the bank in Britain that runs her like that. I mean, I see what I see. It's obvious to everyone who's paying attention. So that's why Candace will never say, hey, marriages can be fake. They can be contractual. Erika Kirk could have been married to Charlie because he's gay and he needed a blonde, bombshell, conservative woman to be trad and to sell the TPUSA thing with. He can't sell that organization if he's, a closeted gay guy on college campuses. So they just sell him a wife. And the wife might have even been sleeping with the COO. Who cares? The public just has to see it as a family.
Justin Strife? Or Taylor
Boyer. So the one person she's not sleeping with is Charlie. But that's besides the point. Yeah. Candace can't come out and say, Charlie was never interested in Erika. Oh, I'm sorry. She did this past week. Candace literally came out this past week and said, Charlie wasn't actually texting Erika at the beginning. I was texting her and all the other girls that he was talking to because he wasn't really talking to them. So Candace is starting to let people know that she even said, Candace says, this one woman, I actually kind of developed feelings for so much that she was in my wedding because I was texting her so much for Charlie.
Is that the one that came before Erika?
Yeah. So
the one that he asked out supposedly and she turned him down and he was heartbroken and then met Erika?
Right. So my point is this. That's all nice window dressing for a fake story. That is, Charlie was straight. Like, believe it. Charlie was straight, everyone. Candace, that's what she's saying. She's going, he was really obsessed with this other woman. But even she can't hold back the fact that she was kind of gay for this other chick. Now, by the way, I don't believe that Candace is like a bad, evil person, but I do believe that she's a black woman that became a celebrity young and decided that she was going to have a certain lifestyle and curated it that way. I don't know that her husband is a closeted homosexual, but if he was a closeted homosexual from London who needed an American wife to give him the bona fides like Charlie did for Erika, right? Like Erika gives Charlie credibility as a straight man. So hire her and make her your wife. And this guy in London needs to also be a believable straight man. So he marries Candace Owens. They can have IVF babies. And now she has a family that she wants. She has financial security. He gives her and everyone's happy. And it sells a ton. Now they can also be business partners and never be compelled to testify against one another.
So
it could just as easily be a handler relationship.
That's what I think. So, I mean, I don't think Charlie was gay. I have no clue if, and we don't always have to agree on everything. You know, it's, you're entitled to have your opinion on, and I have no clue about, Candace's husband. But I do think that, I mean, you've seen the video that Erika Kirk was in the CIA, like EMP video, right? And like her background with her family and her mom.
Oh yeah.
I lean more towards like she was placed in his life also by Tyler Boyer. Like he tried to put her in his life 3 times before the Bill's Burgers event, where she came straight from the taping of that Hamptons dating show and went straight and you know, had that, you know, encounter, that interview that she later says, I didn't actually need a job. And I'm like, why'd you go on the interview if you don't need a job? And then ends up being his wife, and then ends up, like, looking back, is at the time, I don't think I would have ever thought this, but looking everything that's happened and now where she's at and all of her connections and everything else, it's hard for me to not think that I believe that Charlie was straight and that he really was in love with her, but it wasn't an honest, reciprocated relationship in that way. She maybe did a really good job making him believe that. And yeah.
Charlie Kirk started out as Donald Trump Jr.'s bag man. A lot of people don't know that. Like when you travel,
like when he was really young.
Yeah, like little boy, like little baby boy. Like, hey, my dad is the architect on Trump Tower, so our daddies work.
Was Charlie's dad the architect on Trump Tower?
Homie.
I didn't know that.
Oh yes. So Robert Kirk built Trump Tower.
Did he really?
And this is why Charlie is seen as like an 8, 9, 10-year-old behind Donald Trump Jr., literally walking with the bags, carrying things. Cause he's like not a celebrity, but you know, we're going to keep him close and keep him under the wing. And so like, imagine all the things that are going on with Epstein and Trump through the early 2000s. Now, I'm not saying Epstein is best friends with Trump at all. And maybe they're probably at odds, but they're in the same circles.
And I think he's in a lot of those files, and he's fighting tooth and nail to not release them, not because his friends are in them, but because he's most likely in them a lot too.
So who else could be in them then?
Don't. I don't want to. Don't know.
So, okay. So, but you didn't know that Charlie Kirk's dad was the architect on Trump's properties. So that's why Charlie Kirk already knows the Trumps. Charlie Kirk didn't go to college and then decide it was tough and decide against it and go and be a speaker. They put him, once he turned 18, in touch with these other people to create an organization around him. He's an asset like anyone else.
I definitely think that they, you know, Yeah, I don't think that he created this organization by himself. The whole Bill Montgomery, speech, and you watch the speech and it really wasn't that amazing. And supposedly, he's like, oh, you're gonna. No, I definitely think they used him and created this organization and for a purpose. And look at the purpose. It's like replacing the Republican Party, and it's also replacing like Fox News. It is like the new Fox News because more people are on this medium than they are on cable TV. And what TPUSA is, and it kind of was for the, in all honesty, he obviously was more pro-Israel than a lot of people, right? And
but it was, and as soon as he began to turn and was no longer
useful,
right, they have to then, well, I say no longer supporting of the Israeli cause, and when he puts it in his own text, when they see the turn happening, they have to plan into the future. And I think they made that decision early in 2025. I think they had the plan in motion to take him out when they did. And honestly, I think so. Just to the point that Charlie, I don't think is like some guy that just popped up out of nowhere with an organization.
I don't agree.
He's raised in this environment.
Yeah.
And steeped in it and is associating with all these people. And then as an adult has to distance himself from that background and kind of play up this other character. So that's why I say you, me, nobody in public has ever seen the real Charlie Kirk, because the real Charlie Kirk is the little boy who would follow around Don Jr. and carry the bags for the Trump family and knows so much more than we will ever be privy to. I think about like MK Ultra programming and how like they want certain things to be said on a cadence, like Jack Posobiec says certain things in a hypnotic way. I know that when people go and they do testimonies in front of the Senate for 6 hours at a time, they will have CIA training, like torture training to like, different ways to make sure that you're, in a mental capacity where you can sit and tolerate that for 6 hours straight and not tell a lie. They'll have people get hypnotized before giving testimony so that they don't have to remember the lies that they're telling and so on. I say all of that because I think Charlie Kirk is a perfect example of a Manchurian candidate here in our society, in our pop culture. You have a guy who at the very beginning of his life is around all these people. He's raised around and associating with and witnessing all these things. He sees it as normal. And I think then he's told, hey, you're going to go and create this organization. We have all these people backing you. We have this great idea. We need you to be the face and the voice for the young American man. And you're going to lead people to God and you're going to lead people to family. And we're going to build this up so that you're a natural when you run for president.
I definitely think, even Candace said, right? Like, he was in a special school, right? Like kind of like Erika too, right? She was in the Tesseract school.
Like the Epstein kids school. Let's call it what we think it would be. Like take the rejects from the psychic school who aren't going to pilot the craft and bring them to the island. Traumatize them a little bit more and see if they get better powers.
Well, and Candace also said that he had like a psychologist or someone he met with often that he talked. I'd have to go back and watch what show she said different things on. And that this is who he would talk to about him feeling like a time traveler or like that his dreams came true or different things. And this person, and we still don't know who this person is, that was like either like a pastor / psychiatrist figure that kind of like directed him in a direction. Do you remember? Did you watch Candace at all?
No, I didn't see that. But it sounds to me like an MK Ultra handler programmer.
Yeah, that's kind
of like
a
person who says, hey, we're going to break in now. So I'm going to count you down from 10. And when we hit 1, you remember that you're now at your baseline and we're going to break down your different, parts. And you and I would be like, what the fuck are they saying? But this person would go, okay. And they're going to disassociate and then by the time that person counts down to 1, they're in a trance and they're no longer the public-facing Charlie Kirk, head of TPUSA. Now they're Charles Robert Kirk, and you're born on this. And so he'll be regressive, and it'll be like a trance. Yeah, I am. And she'll say, so what are you doing with your organization, and who are you talking to, and what kind of pressures are you feeling? And then when he comes out of that hypnosis, you're right. He would feel like he just traveled through time and he's kind of foggy. He doesn't remember, but he's totally organized and he knows all his lines and he knows who the donors are. And moreover, he doesn't know where they stop and where they become fans and who, what. He just knows he's living righteously and supporting Israel and doing all the things because he'll never have a flub moment. He'll never accidentally say the wrong thing because he's been hypnotized to only believe that he's saying the right things. And I think at a certain point, celebrities show examples of this. Ariana Grande is asked on the red carpet, hey, tell us about this experience. And she goes, well, I went to the school and then they hypnotized me and then they took my memories. Remember? And it's like, we are all watching this going,
did she say that?
Oh yeah, dude. Ariana Grande said that she went to the memory school of the Sunshine Academy or whatever, and they took her memories away, but don't worry, she'll go and ask them what they did with them. This is how controlled these people are. Like they get brought into the room and instead of giving the Jersey Shore confessional into the camera, they're sitting against a guy with a clipboard and he's telling you we're going to do some regressive hypnosis. And that is, I think, when they're programming these Manchurian candidates, these MK Ultra people, to believe they are a person, believe they live this way, believe they are this character. Because then they'll go out and they'll act that way and they will not make a mistake. Charlie Kirk never really said anything homosexual. He never gave any mannerisms or flourishes that made you think that when he was on camera. But when you listen to his wife on the news talk about how he would interact with her children, and she said, I had my children and they would climb all over him and he let them call him daddy on the weekends. It makes me have a record scratch moment and go, she's kind of actually like accidentally saying too many things there that they're not his kids. They're maybe not her kids. They may be like roll call actors. Hey, Sprite is filming a commercial. We need you as a mom to hold a baby while opening a can of Sprite. So we need a baby with its back turned. We need a little baby with a real hair. We call the 10 people in town who have little babies who want to be commercial actors. And we bring one of them out for a photo shoot. And we tell them we're going to a bowling alley. And Charlie Kirk now has fake kids with a couple of holiday photos.
I mean, I've heard that, but I mean, I don't think that. I definitely think.
How do you explain having photos of a baby and having videos of multiple family holidays and never having the face turned to the camera?
Well, they said they did that intentionally so that they protected the identity of their children. I mean, it is
what other celebrities are doing that?
I feel like
not one. They literally sell their baby's first photo shoot.
No, like Jennifer Garner. There's a couple that like don't broadcast their kids, but no, I know it's an outlier. It's not the rule. It's the exception for sure.
So I guess my point in just highlighting that is it's a very easy cover to say we don't want our kids exposed to it is a really great way to never have to come up with the fact you don't have kids.
Yeah, but it could also just be the truth.
It could be, but this is where I'm saying, like, if they had children, where are they now every time she's out? Doesn't make sense. If they have children, she wouldn't be stepping into the strike zone where he just got shot in.
Unless she is a Manchurian candidate too. Because like she doesn't remember that she lived in China or that she dated or that she drank. Like,
but I believe, but here's the thing. I don't believe she doesn't remember it. She's just a bad liar, bad actress, which is why they're pulling her out. I think she's served her purpose and is saying too much. She's egomaniacal. She's having to like drive at the camera and find it everywhere she goes. She looks for the lens in the room and then cries. And people see that. What we don't see is like, oh, here's a tabloid image. TMZ caught up with Erika Kirk in a park with her kids. Here she is in a pair of sunglasses and a hoodie trying to avoid the paparazzi, like you would see every celebrity hiding with their kids. But instead, it's no kids at all. She's out wearing a gown. That tells me it's like the op is we don't need a babysitter. We just didn't hire the kids tonight.
I don't know.
She's never going to hire those kids again. And that's why right now people are wondering, where are the kids? So she gets maybe 6 more months in the limelight. She's going to, before the end of the year, announce that she's leaving TPUSA, handing it over. She's going to publicly retire from life. And then we'll never have to see the kids again. And no one will have to ever answer for them. They'll go live a private life. And I guarantee you this, they'll hire for the next Manchurian candidate access. They'll say, who wants to play Charlie Kirk's kid? Because in 16 years, we're going to need an 18-year-old. So who is going to be the perfect age right now? And they're going to be asking the former naval officers, do you guys have any kids who you'd be willing to kind of give up for the cause? Do you have any kids who you think would be interested in being Charlie Kirk's son in 10 years when we want to run that as a new thing? Because until then, you will not see a picture of him. You will not see videos of those kids. They'll just wait and they'll cast them later. I think that's what's going to happen.
So do you think then, like, I mean, that's so, ugh. So that means like everyone that's close to Charlie would then be in on it in some way. So like Tucker, his parents, his sister. I mean, we've never really talked to his parents, but obviously you were like, his dad was the architect for Trump. I mean, that's a weird data point I didn't know.
And why are the parents the least talking about all of this? They're like, mom's the word silent and haven't heard from them at all.
I mean, there could be a lot of, good explanations to that.
Didn't Tucker say he didn't know his dad was a CIA officer until he died?
Did he say that?
Yeah. He said at
the end of his life, his dad told him or something like that.
No, his dad passed away, and the people then said like, well, yeah, your dad was in the CIA. And he was like, what? He didn't know. He played that he didn't know. He pretends he doesn't know. I say Tucker is feigning ignorance to that.
You think he knew? Or you think he's in the CIA too?
You can't go and say, yeah, we went to all the ambassador terminals. So I've only ever landed at an airport at an ambassador terminal. I only know how to fly deep state. And then say, but I didn't know my dad was in the CIA. He was just a reporter, but we just always flew with the spooks. So yeah, I think Tucker is also a character, right? Some of what we see on his life is true, and some of what we see is chosen and curated so that we see him as a character.
Dude, that is so...
Oh. How would your dad be in the CIA, take you and your brother all over the world, but you don't know that your dad's in the CIA? You must have a hunch. You're not stupid.
I mean,
and eventually you applied to be in the CIA. Why would you apply to the CIA if you didn't know your daddy was in it? Seems to me like the public story. So the public story is that he didn't get in. The public story is that we denied Tucker because it gives him the credibility of saying he's not in it, when in reality,
bro, I just can't. Oh, it's my cognitive dissonance or whatever it is kicking in. But
so why would you say Tucker must surely know of all these things because he knew Charlie professionally? Like Tucker was never going to Charlie's house and hanging out with the kids.
No, from what Tucker has said, they were not just professionally acquainted. Like they were friends, from what Tucker has said. And at least from what I've seen, it seems like that could be. I mean, like after Charlie was at the White House and told, not to actually put boots on the ground and convince Trump to do the Fordo bombing, a limited strike. And after the Hamptons, when he got threatened, he went straight to Tucker's film that episode and told Tucker that, these donors threatened his life and he was scared they were going to take him out. I don't know, but it's not just Tucker. There's other people that it would require so many more people to be involved and to all be part of it, which, I mean, it could be. I just don't think that's the case, but that's also a very sad and dark world that I don't think I'm prepared to live in yet.
I don't think it's that far-fetched, and I don't think you have to make as many leaps as you might. Like hearing this on the first go, right? It might seem like we're making a lot of leaps. Stew with it overnight. Think about it for a minute, because I don't think it's that many people who have to believe in that many lies for that to be the case. I think for instance, we can trust all these people who are in public life as far as we know them in public life. Like I've never met Tucker Carlson personally. I've never met Charlie Kirk personally. So the only thing I know of them is what is shown to me of them. And so I can believe that Tucker likes to fly fish because that's all the decoration on his walls. And then when we see him in public, we see the videos of him doing that.
Yeah. And he's got his vest on. Yeah. But he could also actually like fly fishing.
But that's my point. You can take a piece of it that is true and then make it your character, blow it up, and then leave all of the other things that are true out. And so like Charlie really is politically interested and he is engaged and he does want the young people to be successful and he does want them to, to be good in America and all these things. He might be saying some of these things though, because maybe he's got stuff that they're helping to hide and cover and make nice. Like I always wonder, why is the person saying and doing the thing that they're doing? I don't think Charlie was just doing it for the love of the game. And I think what is maybe best proof of that is his text that was leaked by Andrew Colvett. That is the screenshot of him saying, the Jewish donors fit all the stereotypes.
Play into all the stereotypes. I will not be bullied like this. They leave me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause.
Right there. Now, what's the point he's actually saying there? It's super articulate. And people miss it. They go, oh, well, I guess then he's now deciding he doesn't support Israel anymore. He already didn't. He is telling you that he's made a business case decision. He in his mind, he has run the case through, and it's better business for him running TPUSA to leave the Israeli cause. So like NASCAR has it, you have your car running its sponsors. He is the car. He's got Israel on his back, and he's like, yeah, rip the sticker off. They haven't paid. They've mistreated him. They're in his ear. They think they control more than they do. Rip the sticker off. I'm done. Get it off the back. He's not saying, I love Israel and I love all the people, but I don't like what they're doing. He is telling his business team, the donors are too pushy, and their cause, it could be to ban Islam in America. It could be to expand the Supreme Court, or in this case, pro-Israel. But these are causes he chooses to run with. And he's now dumping the Israeli cause. So like, what's really in Charlie's hurt? We don't know. We know that he talks to his friends that he runs the business with in terms of donors and causes. Here's this donor, here's their cause.
Yeah, in that text. I mean, we don't know that that's like always how he spoke in those terms, but in that text, yeah.
Well, with his business leaders, those are his friends. I mean, his wife is like the person that they said was also helping to run the show behind the scenes. So
I don't believe that, though. You believe Erika was helping run the show? Have you seen her running the show right now?
No, I think that he wasn't running the show either. Neither of them were.
Well, no. I mean, in that regard, I mean, it's a massive.
No one has left but Charlie. Why is it now falling apart? It was propped up by somebody, and it wasn't actually Charlie, because like we are both agreeing, neither of them really ran it. He was the face of it.
So then who do you think was there that's not there now, and why it's doing different now?
I'm not saying there was one, but I'm pointing out that Charlie wasn't the piece that made everything change. It was people's belief in the organization and its credibility. If after 9/10, we all see TPUSA is actually just a balloon and it got popped, we can all see it was nothing more than Israeli money and social media coordination. Because as soon as he leaves Israeli causes, he gets taken out and TPUSA falls apart.
Well, also, do you think too, though? I mean, like, look at if Erika Kirk and Andrew Colvett and TPUSA would have actually followed through with everything that he was saying publicly and privately at the end of his life, I don't know that TPUSA would have lost all credibility and would have been outed as what it is now. I think partially it's what Erika and Andrew and all them have done with it since the assassination that's completely contradictory to everything Charlie was saying and doing, at least in the last year or so of his life, that has made it look like it's not the same thing that it was. I mean, there could obviously be a different take on it too, but.
Well, I'll put it this way. TPUSA is a vehicle.
For sure.
It was created to drive the Israeli message. That's it.
It was also created to like help get people elected
by driving an Israeli message and electing the people who will do that. Yes, every single person TPUSA has helped elect was a Zionist. And the moment that it began to look like TPUSA would be driven in another direction, they took the driver out and they sub in somebody else. Somebody that you were told was sitting passenger seat, but we all see that that's not the case. Erika did not have like a second in command position. So they put her in because the driver's seat of that organization, we can both agree, could just as easily be called a hostage seat. Charlie, you're now the guy in position. You are the one tasked with pushing the message of the donors. And when you fail, we pull the donors. And
so in Trump in 2016, though, I mean, do you think he was even pro-Zionist then? And he just was pretending not to be?
Who?
Trump in 2016.
that Trump was pretending to be a Zionist?
No, not to be, because like he wasn't as he is this time around in 2016.
I think Trump picked up the pro-Israel cause because he got the donors and he gets to keep his life. Charlie gave up the donors, gave up the cause, and lost his life. Do you see what I'm saying now? TPUSA is not a vehicle for electing people or pushing Christianity. It is Zionists' control of your mind. And they need to get your kids also. So they send out the people to push the Judeo-Christian slopaganda to young, unsuspecting kids who think they're there to learn. He will tell them only the comfortable things they need so that they'll vote the way that he wants. And he'll tell them they're good for it. And they will be led to believe that they are good, they are righteous, and they are great because they elected the guy with the red and not the blue. And that guy has a cross on his door, even though he's really going to the island all the same. And so long as they can sell that character, you vote. It doesn't really matter, because if you decide that he's a liar, the next go around is also them.
Yeah.
Like the next upcoming wave of Democrats who are going to run are also going to have to swear their allegiance to Israel.
Well, that's been the case for a long time. I mean, even like LBJ and even Clinton and Obama and Biden, they were getting money from AIPAC too. I mean, I think it's been like this, I think, since JFK.
Yeah, but you made a good point. Trump did not seem nearly as happy to help Israel, and I don't think he is. Even now, I mean, when Iran and Israel are fighting during the ceasefire, and he says they don't know what they're doing, and like he's mad, he's screaming at the news saying they don't know what the F they're doing. He's talking about Iran and Israel. I don't think that when Trump says he loves Israel, he loves them so much, I think he's saying that hoping that the Israelis are watching.
Right.
Like he's not saying that for you and me, because he has already been on record saying F Bibi. Like I know Trump does not want to be dog walked. He hates what they're doing to him. He probably hates them more than I do, but he's also serving them infinitely more than anyone just to keep his own ass alive. Charlie said, I'm not done. I'm going to be done serving them for a moment. And he lost his life almost instantly.
Yeah.
Massie says, I'm not serving you with my institutional power. And they take his institutional power away. So that's how I see it. I mean, you can say, I don't think his kids were fake. I think, I think everything about these people is phony and $3 billish.
So like there's nobody in a public life then that's like real?
Well, let's talk about what you would need to, give me an example and let's go from there. Like think about who actually has national name recognition, who wouldn't have some kind of a national security letter attached to them. Elon Musk goes on Joe Rogan and for years says, I've never seen any evidence of aliens. I'm pretty sure I would have seen it if I had.
For sure.
Okay, so he was lying because he has a national security letter on his own person. He runs the companies who have national security access. So he can't say certain things. He has to go out and lie.
Do you think Joe Rogan has a national security letter on him?
Dodoy, because neither of them say they do.
Well, but neither of them would say they do if they really didn't, though, either.
No, my point is that when an interviewer is asking Joe Rogan, so okay, I'm not saying I shouldn't say Dodoy. I'm not trying to give you attitude personally.
You're good.
I'm saying like for the audience watching, like thinking it through. If I'm an agent and you're an agent, we're not going to both admit like, hey, we're both CIA guys, and so we have certain things we can say and certain things we can't. But Mike Baker is a former CIA guy, so he goes on Joe Rogan and pretends that he's retired and he's doing some. Let me tell you how the agency works.
Bustamante and the other guy,
right? So those guys are public figures about it. Okay, Elon Musk is not a public worker of the of the government
for sure. But I believe he is. Yeah, but he's not public. Yeah.
But he's a contractor.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah.
So what I'm saying is like if you worked on a nuclear site, and your IT company managed the security on the nuclear site, then your IT company is a national security asset.
Yeah.
And our government probably pays for the firewall at your HQ just because we want to make sure you're protected as you're running our nuke base.
Yeah.
Elon Musk would be no different. So Elon's not going to go on Joe Rogan and say, hey, Joe, there are certain things you ask me and I have to lie when you do.
No, of course.
That gives it away.
Oh, I know that. Yeah, of course.
So neither of them are going to say, oh, aliens, I can't answer because of my national security letter. And Joe Rogan wouldn't say, hey, I'm going to ask you this question. Make sure you lie because we both have the letter. That's what I mean by dedoy. They're doing exposition. They have a fake conversation and they can it out. They stage it out. They make it look entertaining. But now we know it was a lie. Like 3 years ago, Elon said no aliens. He would have seen it. It's all bullshit.
Well, even Joe said that was a lie.
And when Kash Patel this past year sat with Joe and said, I saw Epstein kill himself. We watched the video. We for sure saw it. You know, we know without a shadow of a doubt that's what happened. And Joe goes out a week later and says, yeah, that was squirrely as all hell. We knew he was lying then. So this is my point. Like, who you have to decide who you're going to believe and when. And I choose to believe that they're all lying because we can prove that by point, they've all lied. You ask like who in the public sphere is not a person who's lying about their background in some way. No one. They all are. And that's why I say, like, give me an example of a person who's in public life. And then we will look at what they do. And then we'll say, yeah, this is the cutout. This is who they work with. This is their agency and their manager. You know who CAA is, right?
No.
Creative Artists Association or Creative Artists, whatever it is, CAA. Sounds just like the CIA because it essentially is for everyone that's in Hollywood in front of a camera. So I know it sounds silly and it might be some cognitive dissonance, like you'd said, when I sound like a schizo and I say, yeah, everyone who has a media or a public facing personality job, they've got stuff that their agent is covering, that their manager is hiding, and they're playing a character. Joe Rogan's no different. Like Sean Ryan is a national security asset show.
I mean, I kind of believe that though. I mean, like he worked for the CIA.
And remember when I was talking about the high production value and the high quality of Crowder and Sean Ryan and others, and you don't see that put into some other things that you know when you watch them, they're real. So why all the production value and all the lights and the curtains and the
you know who Gary Melton is?
Gary Meltdown.
Yeah, it's him too. You see his nice set with all of his lights and his all that. Well, and he supposedly Candace just outed that he got some sort of massive DoD payout or contract like a couple weeks after September 10th. Yeah.
So I say all this because it's like you get a guy, okay, Baron Coleman and this Candace Owens, people who we like, who I still say, okay, well, they're leagues above where they would have been if they weren't thrown into like a jet stream of algo, shown infinitely more impressions per post than others in the same space doing the same thing. I'll give you an example. I was streaming every week, a few days, not daily, but at least once a week when Charlie Kirk was assassinated. I had a schedule and, was doing a show. Baron Coleman had canceled his show the week prior and was done doing his thing.
Correct.
I predicted this thing would happen and have only had attention drawn to that post since Charlie Kirk was killed. But Baron Coleman has a law degree and his show got the mark and then took off. Don't know if he's advertising it. Don't know if it's just luck of the draw. But I think I'm saying Candace Owens has been tagged and reached out to and sent my post hundreds of times. They've sent it to the tip line, but I've never heard about it. Never heard from her. Never heard from anyone on her team. Why would she want to promote a Baron Coleman or a Gary Melton or Project Constitution? So again, you ask the question, why are all these public facing people suspicious to me? Because the people who have nothing to hide at all, who are not beholden to anyone, who don't have any contractual obligations and don't have any agency representation, they get no real growth or views beyond what is normal.
Yeah.
And then you see someone who, like Candace, I suspect, hey, Candace is probably a lesbian. She's probably married to a gay guy from London. They have a contractual marriage.
Why you got to take it there?
I'm telling you what I think.
I know.
I think that she has that attitude and she comes off that way. And she seems like she's intelligent and sophisticated enough to recognize that she's been asked to be a part of a contractual marriage for a man who needs to have this as a cover. And so it serves him much more than it serves her in his mind. But she's like, this is great. This is wonderful. I believe that that's the case. I believe that's why she would not say Charlie Kirk is gay and is married to a beard, because then she kind of has to admit and answer for her own fake marriage, if I'm being frank. So that's where I go like, yeah, a lot of these people in public positions, they are playing a character they named themselves, and they're trying to keep it up as much as we can believe it. Donald Trump isn't a guy who puts orange makeup on and says, absolutely, it's great, it's beautiful. That's a character he's developed, and he plays it in his own life. You've seen the photo of him without the sunscreen, without the orange, and he's just got a normal pasty old white man hair, combed back, and he's got his grandchild on his lap at Mar-a-Lago. It's the one photo I've ever seen of him without makeup. Everything else is stage photos, stage makeup for the camera to play the pouting leader. And I don't believe that's even real. So like to the level at which someone grows in popularity, their appearance changes. They begin to,
that's true.
They play their own self. They play themselves. They play a character of themselves. I mean, I'm much more animated and passionate in my own shows and online than I am if I'm just having a conversation with somebody.
Yeah, for sure.
So Charlie Kirk is a guy who, when did he decide he was going to begin to play the traditional suit-wearing, conservative, Christian, straight man? I believe that was a decision made for him before he ever hit puberty. Like they told him, as a man, you act this way in public. And then when we go to the masquerade balls in the, city underground tunnels, then we can act this way, how we do. Like, I believe personally that he's probably just as into that lifestyle as all of them, Epstein and all the rest. I think they all cover for one another. I think TPUSA is a vehicle to sell that lie to the next generation and have us bite it. And I think someone in deep state intelligence took out. Now, here's the really thing. I'm going to piss a lot of people off with this.
Be careful.
I think the real theory that no one wants to get at is that Charlie Kirk was not such a great dude, and that the clandestine operators saw he was going to be taken out, and they said, this actually serves a couple other things that we needed to do. I don't want to say, but imagine a Charlie Kirk president 20 years or 10 years in the future where everything is controlled by AI. You're told your voice matters. All of your rights are being supported. Meanwhile, none of them are. Like, imagine a 1984 world, completely dystopian and upside down, and Charlie Kirk is the president, and the media tells you everything's great.
I mean, I can imagine a 1984 dystopian, world like that. It's hard for me, almost nearly impossible. Here's where I'm at, and this is just where I'm at. This is just me. Okay. Charlie meant a lot to me. I watched him a lot, right? As a young Christian guy that I love history. I love this country. I was in the Marine Corps, and I watched him a lot. It's hard for me to believe that he faked everything that I ever saw of him. And I also think it's hard to be able to, he was on screen, on television so much. He traveled 320 days a year, and he did so many speaking engagements. He was in front of different people, different cameras. And I mean, it's very, very hard for me to believe that he was able to fake the same. There's people out there saying that same thing about him and saying that he faked his death and that he's alive.
I would love to believe that Charlie Kirk was sophisticated and complex in his planning enough to feel the pressure in the Hamptons and to go to Harrison Smith himself and say, hey, buddy, I need you to go and post on X that I think someone's going to kill me, and tell them that it's Israel. And I think, let them plant the story, and let Tyler Boyer take screenshots and run them out to people. And I wish, Matt, that Charlie was sophisticated enough to plant the story ahead of time and then fake his own death and have us all believe Israel really did it, and then have the FBI blame some random dope in Utah. But I don't believe that. I just think that that's too many moving pieces for the Manchurian candidate to be controlling himself. I think it's more likely that he meant a lot to a lot of people, like he did to you. Mm-hmm. That emotional loosh, that energy has to go somewhere, and they don't want it to go against Israel. So they would rather all of that love and support and credibility that Charlie generated out of people like you who would watch that. Yeah, they want him to hand it off without hurting their goal. And if I've made the argument that TPUSA is a vehicle to sell Israeli propaganda,
I mean,
they can't have the driver turn the vehicle around. They just need to replace the driver.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. Yeah.
What the hell's going on over there? Sorry, I got a dog going nuts. I'm gonna have to jump here pretty soon.
No, you're good. We're at the end anyways. And let me see if I got to all the super chats.
I'm sorry to yap at you, but it's been great to talk with you for sure.
Oh, you're great, man. This was great. And oh wait, sorry, I didn't even read that. Tommy is hilarious. Thank you, Jim Bear. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm sure you go on lots of shows and you have friends. You don't always have to agree on every single thing, right? I mean,
no, I don't go on shows and I don't have friends, so I don't agree with anybody. It's fine. I'm happy about it. It's fine. No, I agree with you now. We don't have to agree on every little point.
No, yeah.
And I'm happy to disagree.
Yeah.
People, I would wish that someone could tell me I'm wrong and show me why. And like, I would love to believe them.
No, for sure. Yeah. I mean, so much of this, I mean, it's all speculation for both of us too, right? Because we can reference things that we can say are data points that are build, up enough probable cause in our mind to believe what we believe. I think in the end, neither of us knew him. And so we choose to believe what we think is correct based on what our experience, our perception, and from the information that we were taking in. And, I just land in a different spot on that on him. But I mean, we land in a lot of the same spots on the outcome and like where he was changing and what they had to do and like everything else, like the bigger picture with like, Israel and Trump and everything like that. One thing I didn't ask you, but I wanted to ask you, I thought the guy that tried to shoot Trump, I thought that happened in Mar-a-Lago. You said it happened in Hawaii at a golf course? I thought the guy.
No, I want to clarify. The guy, I think the last name was Ruth.
Yeah, Ryan Ruth or whatever.
Who shot at Trump at the West Palm Beach golf course.
Oh, he's from Hawaii.
He lived in Hawaii.
Oh, okay,
and my reasoning for mentioning it was that it was in an incredibly expensive place to live when you do not have on paper, an income. So he's an unemployed dude
living in Hawaii,
owning property in Hawaii.
Oh, owning
and moving money around for the Ukraine war with donations. So here's the thing where I'm like,
that's
okay,
weird.
The theory behind that is here's a guy thinking he's going to help create and funnel funds from one place. Maybe it's cartel money and other launder money into the war. And he gets part of it for helping, but it's also illegal to do because you're racketeering and it's called war profiteering.
Yeah.
So the feds go to him and they say, hey, guess who's now going to be our next, glowy PsyOp guy? It's you, because you've just committed all kinds of crimes online. So here's like a leftist idiot thinking he's helping the war effort, but he's committing digital crimes in Hawaii. The feds just go to him and they say, hey, we need a new asset. You just became ours. I'm your new case officer. And he's like, fuck, now I have to do what you say because that's what's going to happen. And it's like a guy who is doing some really nasty things on his computer all of a sudden gets a knock on the door and they say, now you're going to go and, commit a shooting in Northern California at an Islamic center. And we're going to blame the Groypers because we have your chat or we have your Discord, or they tell Tyler Robinson, we're going to borrow your gun. I think they just look at these people with their activity and the things that they have done and they will say, and they go, great, we got them.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I think it's like a template, they know how to pick these individuals.
And with AI, it's like a game of guess who. They can say, hey, Boolean search AI, give me a person in Idaho who shaves his head.
Don't give them any idea.
Drives a truck, who wears this size hoodie, who has ordered one in the last 2 years. And they can do all those things to find like your online behavior. And then they go, here's 3 guys that we could go with. And this is how they reverse engineer it to the point where they can get, I want to know who was this close to being Tyler Robinson. Like who was the guy that there were
other options? Yeah. And doesn't even know how their life almost was ruined.
Right. And then I think like, well, wait, was Charlie Kirk not someone who's kind of treated like that? Like it's just, it's a lot to go into, but.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. Hopefully we can maybe do this again sometime.
Yeah, for sure. It's been great talking with you, Matt. Thank you again.
All right, man. Have a good night. Okay.
You too. Take it easy.
Bye. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. I'm going to read this, and then I got the end of the day Charlie clip pulled up. A great collab, enlightening peeps, one show at a time. Yes. Oh, here we go, peeps. Yeah, I'm ready to still hang out too, you guys. Hopefully you guys would love to ask some comments or make some statements. And yeah. Oh, I didn't say, what is it? Real Marie Blonde. Are you a real blonde, Marie? Are you a real blonde? I'm a real blonde. Can you tell? Can you tell by my eyebrows? No, they're dirty blonde. Okay, they're brown. I was a Q-tip baby though. Like my hair was pretty white when I was a kid, you know. Mm-hmm. Yep. Mystic. This has hands down been. I think I'm reading it wrong. This has been, I'm gonna fix it, right? This has been hands down my favorite Blackline Brief Live, and Tommy tops my fave BLB live guest. Yeah, I agree. He's fascinating, really engaging, also very entertaining as well, and has a lot of very interesting ideas and outlooks and perceptions that, you know, I haven't heard. I haven't even heard or thought of. But like I said, with him here, you know, it's good to have people on that. I mean, just look at Tucker, look at Candace too, right? They have people on their shows. You don't always have to agree with everything someone says. You know, take note of what you agree on, and you know, build on that, and then you know, make sure that you don't feel afraid to say where you disagree, right? And that it's okay for him to believe and feel the way he feels, and same with me, and that we can still hang out and do a live again someday, hopefully someday soon. And hopefully someday soon we can have another collab with Jay the Yapper. Let me see if he let me see. Let's see. Cool. Yep. No, you're good, bro. I mean, he's in Michigan, and what is it? 3 hours. So that'd be 10, 45, 11:44. It's almost midnight there. Hopefully he's able to relax, kick his feet up, and get some shut eye. All right, let's pull up. I do also have some other things planned for the upcoming weeks. It's pretty exciting. Yeah. So as it gets closer, I will announce like who and what those will be. Some will be returning guests that we have seen before, that we all like, and have new information, maybe new research, right? Or just a new conversation, a new hangout session with like Jay. And let me pull up this. Oh, wait, what do we got? I just saw something pop up. Zamit, what is up, Zamit? Thank you for respecting your viewers. Great show. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I personally believe, right, that that I knew the real Charlie. And I don't know, people not Tommy, but I know others have attacked me for that. Tommy didn't. And I appreciate that for him. That and I would never attack him for him believing the opposite, right? Like I said, that we're both pulling from different life experiences, worldviews, our experience with Charlie, you know. Like I said, I did watch him and listen to him a lot. And some people may use that as a critique of me, that clouds my perception or judgment of him. I feel that it informs my judgment and perception of him. I believe that it would be so hard, not impossible, um, for a lot of these people who do this day in, day out. And I know there are people that do this day in, day out and are fake, right? But I also think that they kind of give it away sometimes. And I never got that from Charlie. I never got that from Tucker, you know. Yeah. And I still believe in, and not, this is just me speaking, right? That um I I know we live in a fallen world where, it is ruled by evil and the evil one, right? Who is the master deceiver and liar. And but I still believe that there are good, honest people out there that do seek positions of influence to influence the world in a positive way. And I do believe, Charlie did that, you know. And I believe that I believe that I knew obviously what limited amount of him we were able to know from him being a public figure. But that what we did know of him, I believe, was truly him for me, and that he wasn't playing a character. I think the person playing a character in that situation was Erika Kirk. I do believe that they had real kids. I do think it's like a lot of the things that may be used as data points to say like that, like either not proves, but is evidence to, the other side's argument. I think that there could be completely innocent, honest explanations as to why we never saw the kids' faces. I do think it's weird that, Erica's not taking care of the kids. I think we all see that. I think it's weird that she, used a photo of somebody else's kids, passed them off as her own, as her alibi photo. But I think that speaks more to Erika being suspicious and weird and not an honest person than it does to, that Charlie was fake. And I just don't believe that. Yeah. Yeah. I'm definitely going to look more. Did you guys know that Charlie's dad was one of the architects or the architect on the Trump Towers? Let's see. Okay, so here is the answer. Let's see. I'm going to pull this up. This is what I found in my really quick, short Google search. Oh, I got to add it to the screen. I'll make it bigger for you in a second, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so yeah, was Charlie Kirk's dad an architect of the Trump Towers? His father, Robert W. Kirk, is an architect who was involved in the construction of Trump Tower. His mother, Catherine Nee Smith, is a former trader at Chicago Mercantile Exchange, who subsequently worked as a mental health counselor. Yeah, okay, and his younger sister, Mary. Yeah, so his dad, Robert W. Kirk, is an architect, and he was involved in the construction of Trump Tower. The previous, let's see, who was the main architect in the Trump Towers, and this is what came up. It wasn't, so, I mean, Charlie Kirk's dad was not the main architect for the Trump Towers, though, but he was an architect involved in the construction of Trump Tower. But these are the International Hotel Tower in Chicago, designed by Adrian Smith, and then Trump World Tower in New York, designed by Costas Condilas. So, yeah, and then the Trump Tower in New York City was the architect was Der Scoot of Squonk Hayden Connell Architects. So, yeah, there's that. Let's see. Oh, is dog and cat parent here? Where are you, dog and cat parent? Dog and cat parent. Thank you for your gift. I don't know. Were you here the other day when I said thank you for that buy me a coffee gift you gave to my wife and I for our date night? We went out to Olive Garden. I know it wasn't like a fancy restaurant, but that's what we wanted. You know, sometimes you want soup and salad and breadsticks. What can I say? There ain't nothing wrong with some Olive Garden until you wake up the next day and your stomach hurts. And you're like, maybe there was too much dairy in the pasta I ate. Does anyone have any other super chats they want to get in before we end? I have the video. We're going to watch the video of Charlie, but for those of you that want to donate and support this channel but don't want to give to YouTube, you can donate here through the Venmo. Okay, just make sure to put in what you want the money to go to, or you can donate here to buy me a coffee at the Black Line Brief. Just like I said, make sure to state what you want the donation or support to go to, and I'll make sure that it does. All right, let's go here. Here, I got my end of the day Charlie clip pulled up. All right, ready?
So everyone I know who's known her says she's like the worst human being ever.
Are you a Swiftie, Charlie?
Oh, goodness.
You don't like all those breakup songs?
I don't think she has a lot of talent. I think she's mean and like cruel and like
no.
And I just think everyone I know who's known her says she's like the worst human being ever.
Well, I've met her 2 times, and I'm telling you that is
right
not true.
Well, people that have really known her. So unless I think her music is trash and garbage, she's a left. So everyone I know who's known her says she's.
Well, that's how he feels about Taylor Swift. That was sent to me. If someone sent me a different one, let me go to my email and see if anyone sent me a different one. No. Oh, you know what we didn't get to today, guys? I don't know. How tired are you guys right now? It's late, but hold on. Let me gauge the chat real quick. Are you guys pooped? Are you guys wanting to be done? Because I have this podcast of this guy who was the landscaper hired to pave over the Charlie Kirk assassination crime scene. Are you guys tired? Are you guys wanting to tap out? Or do you want to watch this with me? It's only like 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Thank you. I'm still going. Love you too. You're the best. All right. Love you, sweetie. Thanks. It's my wife dancing in the background going, she's my biggest fan besides Pops. I'll stay up just for this. All right, let's do it. Yeah, it's good. So let's get it. Oh, I got to start over. Hold on.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Jimmy Rex Show. Today on the podcast, I have a We Are the They member, a good friend of mine, the man that did my Zen garden, but also the guy that was hired to pave over Charlie Kirk's murder scene. So we got a very fascinating human being, Mr. Dan Merrill. Dude, good to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks, brother.
Let's just kind of cover this Charlie Kirk stuff first.
Okay.
And then I want to kind of get into more of your story and some other stuff like that. One of the reasons I wanted to have you on the podcast, I mean, it's just fascinating. That was probably...
Wait, what's that super chat? Let me see what this says. Elizabeth, did I miss the memo? Tommy, ? Tucker, and CK bad. That's not my position. Tommy, I don't know. I think Tommy thinks, Tommy believes something different about Tucker and CK than me. Yeah. But it's okay. I told him that. And I don't know if you were there for that part where I said, we don't have to agree on everything. And also, yeah. And I just did a whole spiel as why I believe differently than he does. And yeah. Okay. Hopefully that answered Elizabeth. That's not my memo, but I do think, that is what Tommy believes. And everyone's entitled to their own opinion.
One of the 3 or 4 most impactful moments of our lives as far as, a national event goes. And you got thrust right into the middle of it.
Yeah.
So what exactly was your role? What happened? How did that all come about for you to be the person they call? I mean, I think, one of the reasons I wanted to have you on, you haven't really told your story.
And both of these guys are local to Orem and Provo area.
But you've been getting a lot of like death threats and people that think you're part of the conspiracy. And I just wanted to kind of really get into how that all happened for you.
Sure.
Well, so interestingly enough, I came and met with you about your Zen garden. That was right when it happened. I was on my way back to my shop in Provo, and I saw 6 different precincts flying past me in the commuter lane. And I got to, my shop is right. It's probably 2 miles away from UVU. I grew up right there. We walked to where I went to grade school, it was Vineyard, which is now UVU. And I saw all the cops coming past, and I got off on University Parkway, and everything was shut down. And I thought, what the hell, right? Got on the phone, asked Google, and Charlie Kirk, had been shot. I think Orem's a small town. This is where I grew up. I remember when it was UVU, UVCC, UVSC, right? It's grown. And so anyways, I think a lot of people around the world are looking at it, but when it happens in your own community, it's raw.
Yeah, and it happened 5 minutes from my old.
You didn't miss the whole show because this is like the show after the show. I had all these other things scheduled in case like it didn't go long, or if we had moments that we needed to, pull something in to give us something to talk about, which there was no shortage of things to talk about with Tommy. We were talking the whole time. It was good. But I really want to show this, especially because 2 different community members sent this to me. And I told them I would play it, and I watched it already twice, and I want to show it to you guys. And so it's very, very interesting. Sent a super chat, Matt. Yeah, the one that this one, right? This is the one. I read it. Hey. Hold on. Let me continue with this. I don't want to get sidetracked because I really want to
The house that I moved from 6 months ago.
Right. And it was like this cloud had settled in on the valley, right? I was pretty ashamed of our state, that it happened in Utah of all places, right? So anyways, that we've been watching him online forever, right? I think his conservative values. So fast forward, I think that was probably maybe a Wednesday.
Yeah,
or a Tuesday.
September 10th. I remember that.
Okay,
yeah,
is it
it was a Tuesday? I think it was a Tuesday.
Tuesday. My wife at that point was pregnant and very hormonal. She had been watching his videos for years. And so anyways, there was just that cloud. There was a cloud in my home. There was a cloud in the valley. I think everybody could feel it. It was palpable. Fast forward, I'm at home with my family. And I get a call, and I don't answer my phones on Sunday. They left a message, and the gentleman said, hey, this is kind of weird. And he was kind of hemming and hawing on the phone.
This was 5 days later then?
Yes,
You said it was on this Sunday? Okay.
Yeah, on Sunday. And he says, we've got a paver emergency. I'm like, the hell is
when the hell's a paver emergency?
Exactly,
Yeah,
right? I'm thinking, this guy's, what the hell? So anyways, I wasn't going to even respond because I don't typically do that. But I'm like, paver emergency. Part of my MO is I like to be useful, where I can be help, So I texted the guy. I said, look, I don't work on Sundays.
I do want to be honest with you guys about something. Ever since everything that happened, that went down, all that craziness, YouTube has done something to the channel. I don't know. Like, So if you guys can afterwards, like throw a comment. Well, first off, please do me a favor if you haven't done so already. If you came in late or you're joining now, please do me a favor and hit the like and hit the subscribe, especially if you want to be notified of future lives and videos that I post. Hit the notifications button, click the bell, hit the all so that you can know when I go live and you can be present. And the like helps tell the algorithm that this video should be showed and brought to other viewers. And more than ever, I really would need everyone to help me do that because the channel is kind of just going like this. I don't know what's going on with YouTube right now. Like performance was doing great and it changed, but that's all I'll say about that. And afterwards, you guys could throw a comment in the video section just saying, great job, great show, you know, whatever. That's great. Not everyone has to do it. I know not everyone will. That's fine. I understand that. But those of you that can and will, I appreciate it. All right, let's get back to it. So this is the guy that was hired to pave over the UVU crime scene.
My guys don't work on Sundays. I'm happy to call you on Monday. What's a paver emergency? So he sends me pictures of right where Charlie was murdered. And he says, we need to put pavers in this place. So I called him, and the guy seemed like a genuine good dude. He says, look, we don't have a whole lot of answers. We're told by, people above us that we've got to put pavers in, today and tomorrow. It needs to be in by Monday. And we've never done pavers. We've never installed them. And we want to make sure we do it right. And he says, would you come help? I said, 100%. So I went and got my shit. I got my trailer. I started calling my guys, and none of my guys answered. And so I started calling my other guys, my brothers. And then I called another, so I put together this ragtag team, of guys that we showed up on that Sunday, within an hour and a half of when they called us with our trailer. And we met with a couple of dudes. I was telling you there wasn't a whole lot of information. There was two guys that were kind of in charge.
So by this point, it's all dug up and everything.
It's everything.
What did it look like?
I've got pictures, I could give you pictures of exactly when I showed up. I took pictures of what it looked like. They had taken out about 10 inches of the dirt around the whole place, right? Right now you can see where the pavers are. Everything under that, probably 10 inches had been excavated.
Why do you think they excavated so much dirt? You think that they were trying to make sure they got any bullet fragments or anything that was in there?
I wasn't looking at it with that lens, dude.
Really?
I wasn't.
It didn't even cross your mind?
It didn't cross my mind. Here's the thing. You were saying stuff on social media. Everybody's saying stuff on social media. Yeah. And quite frankly, I had been, I got so disheartened with social media because they just spin everything and they talk shit and fear mongering and hate sells. And I didn't want to see it. I knew there was videos out there. Right when I pulled into town, when it happened, I Googled it and I saw the video from afar, right? Of Charlie getting shot. And I thought, man, I don't want to see that shit. This guy got shot. You see it, he's probably dead or dying, right? I don't want to see somebody murdered, especially a good man, a father and a husband. So I hadn't been on social media. I had stayed away from it. My wife had been on it. And she was a wreck, bro. She was just, all that ugliness was just. So when I got the call, I thought, you better fucking believe it. I'm going to go help.
And I apologize. There is some language in this, ladies and gentlemen. But the information is important to listen to. Just hopefully you guys can make it through.
That was all it was. I'm going to go help these guys. He's asking for help. They want to do it right. He framed it in the sense that, hey, we want this to be done right. So that's why I showed up. So, I mean, to do pavers correctly, you over excavate, you get rid of the top soil. Oh,
you do?
You do, 100%. Okay. You want to get a good base. And these guys had kind of, there was two guys in charge and a ragtag crew. One of the guys was in charge of a state-owned facility in American Fork. And the other guy was in a maintenance groundskeeper on a facility in Provo. And these are the two guys I'm corresponding with. The first guy the second guy that I hadn't talked to on the phone basically said, hey, look, we're not talking to anybody. We're not saying anything to the media. He says this is above our pay grade. The FBI and the state, the governor and the FBI, that's what they told me. The governor and the FBI said they want this done by Monday and we need to get it done. We're not asking questions. We're not talking to the media. And so I said, okay. So I just, that's kind of my MO is, I've been in so many car wrecks and, I got a rollover when I was 17 and there was 3 girls in the car. I broke my back in 3 places, got a traumatic brain injury, but I didn't have my seatbelt on. I wrecked. We rolled down the freeway. We landed on the wheels and I got out and say, all the girls were screaming. I said, who's hurt? How do I got all the girls on the stretchers. And then, so it's kind of my MO is under pressure, I know how to just show up and help as best I can. So that's,
so you guys got it done that day, the next day. And then
so we worked until night. And basically until dark. And then we came back the next morning and started getting it installed.
Was there anything that happened afterwards? Like any weirdness? Did you start getting people calling you or texting you, trying to get more 100%. Of the story? Like what happened then?
Well, no, not, I think there was, the thing that felt fishy to me was after it happened, and I saw, at that point, a few people had kind of accused me of being a part of the cover up. And I thought, so I started watching the videos. I started getting on Facebook and I'm like, well, fuck, maybe I was, fuck's sake. Yeah, and I really started questioning, like I had this weird thing going on. And
do you think it was weird that they immediately decided to excavate and pull up a murder scene of like such an important murder that's completely doesn't make any sense with the official narrative? Don't you think that's super weird that they would immediately try to excavate all that and pull it up instead of making it a crime scene?
So here's what a lot of people don't realize is very public crime scenes don't last as a crime scene very long. They just don't. Typically speaking, they come in, they take all their evidence, they wash it down with a fire truck so that people aren't coming and looking at all the blood and the gore. That's fairly typical. I don't know. That's what I know. So at this point, that happened Tuesday. We're Sunday, so Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, till Sunday's a longer time. I thought but they started pulling it up. I think
yes,
like the next day or 2 days later.
I don't know
you
what
weren't
that.
Part of
yeah,
that.
I wasn't part of that.
That actually that makes more sense because like I thought you were part of like the pulling it up and everything else as well.
So after we put the pavers in, we were working as a team, but I was going past some of the grounds guys and I said, I just hollered at him, said hi. And he wanted to tell me about, he was the one who pulled it up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What did he have to say? Do you remember his name?
I don't. No, I don't think I got his name, but he was part of the grounds crew for UVU. And he was pretty ticked. He was like, dude, I don't know why the hell they're bringing you guys in here or why they're bringing the state in here. They made us tear everything out, the blood and the nastiness,
So keep that in mind, right? The state of Utah, right? And the FBI come and tell the UVU grounds crew to tear it all out immediately within days, right? Rip it up, get rid of it. And then they hire this other like no-name small landscaping company that normally would not have been the hire for this massive university to do something like this, especially to make what is eventually probably going to be like a memorial site for Charlie, right? It's all very not above board, very below board, very suspicious and weird. And even to him, at the time, he did not think so, but you'll hear him say after it became weird. He thought it was weird.
He was responsible for the cleanup and he was a little bitter. He's like, I don't know why they're bringing other state guys, other state employees to finish out this crime scene.
No, it makes sense. So, and then you've had people, because look, I've been following it semi-closely. I was for a while, right? Now it's pretty clear to me they set this kid up, and
yeah, that's what it looks like.
It looks like it was the lava Mike. I would bet my life on that.
Yeah.
And we all know that Charlie had turned on Israel, and that's probably why they killed
The lavalier mic, right? The Rode mic on Charlie's front of the shirt, and that they're framing Tyler Robinson.
them. I mean, that's their MO.
And just one point, when we were sitting there, somebody had been killed there, bro.
Sure.
It was heavy, dude. It
Was it
was
still
it
heavy?
was heavy, dude. It wasn't like I didn't want to fucking be there.
Hmm.
I didn't want to be there, but I was trying to be useful. As you look up and you see where they're saying this shot's coming from, it's in plain fucking view. You can see, like,
I'm sorry for the F-bombs, guys. I'm not saying them. Okay. So please, but the rest of the information is really important. So hopefully we can put our earmuffs on for those parts.
but dude, I've hunted. A 30-06 from that close a range does not do what that bullet did.
Nope.
Right? You look at the videos, you see his shirt do some crazy shit. You see his team catch him before he hits the fucking ground. But yet they can't see a guy right in front of them setting up. Like, it didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, no, it definitely doesn't make any sense. I mean, there's a really good comedy thing that Jimmy Dore does about essentially what they say the official narrative is. Like, the dude literally had to, like, take the gun apart, switch his clothes, put the gun back together, switch his clothes, go down. Nobody could see him this entire time, reassemble the gun, ditch it at a house that's owned by Palantir. Like, the whole thing is just insane. The official narrative is insane. It's kind of like I just think it'll be like JFK, right? Like, yeah, we know what happened now to JFK. We know who killed him. We know why they killed him, if you're following all this stuff.
No.
And it's kind of the same thing with Charlie Kirk. I think we'll never really know, but we kind of already know, you know?
Yeah. And I think, unfortunately, that'll be the case because the government will never be honest about anything until, like, maybe we take our country back. I don't know, maybe by force, and maybe instill an actual honest government. I don't know, they're never going to tattle on the administration that came before them. Didn't happen with it's never happened. They've never like that. And even the opposing side gets in and doesn't actually do what it says it's going to do. Like, we're going to hold that previous administration accountable. Yeah. Never, not once.
And that's just the reality of the world that we live in, man. I will say, like, it was just such a weird day. It really changed the world, I think, in a really bad way. And
I agree.
Charlie Kirk was one of the few things standing between Trump and the Iran war, which we've now seen as a disaster. I can't figure out how to get out of that and all these other issues that are happening. But regardless, it's like, yeah, you're kind of attached to this history of it. So
yeah, it's interesting because after we got done, the fake reviews started to come in.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, I started getting probably a dozen fake reviews, just 1 stars. And I started looking, a friend came to me and said, "Hey, I'm so sorry that people are, well, let's see the timeline." I started getting fake reviews. So I posted a video.
Oh, okay.
And I just said, look, we were showing up to be helpful. And that's really all there was. If somebody was covering this up, it was the FBI, it was the state. It was not some maintenance guys and a landscaper.
Well, I mean, what the FBI would do is they would call a random landscaper.
Right. Which made no sense.
Like, why do you think they called you? Like, you're kind of a smaller operation. Like, it didn't. That was the part where I was like, oh, they kind of used him, like, because it made no sense.
No.
You're not a big operation.
No.
You wouldn't be the first call.
No.
You're also like a very humble, quiet guy. You know, it's like I just felt like maybe that's why they picked you.
Yeah, and maybe that's part of what kind of blinded me a little bit. As I got a call and they said, and it was like, the hell would they call me?
Yeah,
I'm like definitely not the most qualified. I mean, I do hardscapes, and we were close. That might have been it. I don't know.
How close were you to UVU? Where's
my
your
shop is probably less than 2 miles away.
Okay,
so it's right there.
So that could have been just Google the closest one to
could have
UVU
been
kind of thing.
Yeah, and I answered.
Sure.
I answered the call. So
do you regret doing it?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, because you've had some death threats and stuff, right?
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Not actual ones.
Hindsight. There was a few of these truth seekers out there that have really big platforms on the internet that claimed that I was an Israeli death squad. I mean, I posted a video saying, dude, guys, we were just trying to be useful. If there's a bigger scheme here, I promise I'm not part of it. I'm not that important. I'm not like, I didn't live, I'm an open book. I'll tell you, I've got history and, anyways. And so I reached out to a few of them, because people were just,
Yeah, just want to get the story told.
Yeah.
Straight. Yeah. I've had that before. People are just making stuff up about you. Like, well, here's what I discovered is like, I reached out one time, somebody was making up some stuff about me and they tried to turn it on me. They're like, oh, this guy's in my DMs now trying to hit me up. And I'm like, you little bitch. Like, that's not what I was doing. I was trying to like tell you like what the real story was. And then I realized something like, oh, they're not looking for the honest truth.
Yeah,
they're literally just trying to cause drama. And then from that day forward, I literally made a rule. I'm like, I will never respond to a troll again.
Yeah.
Because they're not acting in good faith. They're not trying to get it right.
Well, and a month after that, it had tore me up, dude, because again, I wasn't sure what the hell just happened. Like my intentions were pure. We weren't even going to ask to get paid on that job. We were showing up to be helpful. And by the time we were done, I'm like, you know what? I want to pay my guys.
Of course.
And so I charged the state.
Why wouldn't you want to get paid? It's the state.
I know. I don't know. We were showing up to be of service. I don't know.
Well, quit doing that.
I know it is what it is.
Yeah.
But after I posted that video, some trolls trolled it and spun it. And, 2,000, 3,000 comments later, I'm everything. I'm a ghost company.
Did you make the mistake of reading the comments?
Oh yeah. And it tore me up. And I realized in the end that it's none of my business.
You learn that. Well, the thing is like, look, and I have empathy for people in this situation because everybody can smell the bullshit and everyone's like, this isn't right. This doesn't make sense. This isn't adding up. And so you're kind of grasping for straws a little bit. Like people that criticize Candace Owens. I think it's funny because I'm like, I love Candace Owens. She's wrong about stuff, but she admits it, but she's not trying to get.
Yeah. I like these guys. This is besides the cussing. Okay. I'm much more in line with what these guys believe and understand and perceive about this situation. But let me check in with you guys. I didn't know if I missed any chats that popped up. Nope. Okay. All right. Let's continue. Yeah. I'm continuing.
Everything right. She's doing what an actual investigative journalist should do. You're just throwing questions out. You're asking questions. You're talking to people. You're taking every single piece of, possible clue or evidence or whatever you can, and you're trying to figure out what happened. Like if I die tomorrow, I want somebody to go to bat for me like Candace Owens. Like I don't care if she's wrong 20% of the time. She is trying to get it right, and she's asking enough questions. It's funny. It's like Alex Jones. The guy's been validated on 80% of what he said, but people still want to focus on the 20. I'm like, that sucker said a lot of shit before anybody else that ended up being true. And I think Candace is kind of the same way.
Yeah. Well, she's the only one.
Did she reach out to you?
No. And she didn't come after me either. At least what I saw. I stopped watching. It was like,
well, she wasn't really coming after anybody. She was just trying to get the story right.
Well, there was a few that were coming after me that were
sure. There was others that, I said Candace though. She was just trying to get the story right.
Yeah.
Well,
I just thought it was interesting that none of them, I reached out to a few of them.
They didn't get back platforms.
To you? No, nothing. It's like, dude, they wanted to be an echo chamber. And they wanted
what's one of the things. So the last couple of weeks
that's interesting. So he reached out to some big platforms, channels, to tell a story, and no one got back to him. I will reach out to him.
I made a couple of videos, just explaining the history of what's going on in Iran and some other things. And you kind of got to be willing to take on some noise when you do that. Then I realized, I'm like, you know what? Like, I've been watching this Iran thing now for almost 50 days, and it's just spinning in circles, dude. It's like a freaking. You ever watched a TV show? It's like Yellowstone. You ever seen Yellowstone?
Like one episode.
Okay. Well, season 1, you're like, this is the best TV show ever. Well, they run out of new storylines, so they just recycle them. And it's like now, I think they've had 5 seasons, or they ended up with 5 seasons. I cannot tell you one thing from one season that is specific to that season. It's all just this giant blend of bullshit. And you realize that, like, remember when we were younger and they had the daytime soap operas on, and you knew those were just a joke, right? We just don't know that they're a joke now because they're produced better. But like, there is no good reason to watch those things anymore. And so like all those TV shows now, to me, and I feel like that's what's going on with like the Iran war. It's like we're going to close this thing. We're going to open it. No, we're not. And now we are. Now Israel's doing this and Hezbollah. And it's just like this circle of drama that just captivates people and that keeps them stuck in this place.
Mm-hmm.
So I made the decision a few weeks ago. I'm like, I'm going to every day, I'm going to skim through my suggested videos on YouTube because it'll tell me the headlines of what's going on, but I'm not going to actually watch a video or read anything about it. And dude, I feel like I'm just as informed and I haven't had to kind of worry about anything. You know, there's a famous quote, I can't remember who it was, but he said, if you watch the news, you're misinformed. If you don't watch the news, you're uninformed. It's kind of like, that's where we're at. But so I don't watch the news. Well, my point is what you're saying. I've done the same thing now. I've just kind of withdrawn a little bit from it. I don't want to pretend it's not happening. We need to speak up. We need to like call out the bullshit. Like I do think it's working in a lot of ways. But I also think it's just this drama circle that just keeps you stuck in these patterns of drama that really go nowhere.
Well, and this all pulled me into that for about a month. I was just like, I was constantly checking Facebook to see who had just cut up my video and hammered me. You know what I mean? I'm
well,
like,
if you're not used to it, it's very uncomfortable.
I've never had that before.
Once you've had it a few times, you realize these are just very unhappy people that have nothing better to do. Truly. But the first couple of times, you know,
it was a shocker. I was like, holy shit. I shouldn't have put that video out.
Like I just did my fitness show a couple weeks ago and somebody had set up an entire account. It was a brand new account. And they were just like, went on my page and they're like, you're ugly. You're still, your skin is orange. You still look fat. And I was like, kind of just laughed. I'm like, I was a little bit flattered. I'm like, because I literally got down to 9.3% body fat. I got it like measured on a DEXA machine. And I was laughing and I was just like, God, this person, I go, do you think their blinds were drawn when they did that? You think they're in a basement? Is it their mom's basement? It was just like, where do you have to be in life that you're like, I hate Jimmy so much that even when he's doing, you know, and it's what you realize though, it's just like, and I just I didn't even respond. I just block him now. It's like, I wouldn't let somebody walk in my house and just start saying things I don't like. So I'm like, anytime somebody comes at me now, I just block them.
Yeah.
Well, for your own peace, you just get used to it.
Well, because I was doing your Zen garden when this all went down and you're like, dude, don't read the comments, dude. You know, you gave me really some good context. You're like, dude, if somebody comments some bullshit, block them.
Yes.
Don't even give them.
Do not respond because their win is being significant enough that that's a part of the story responded to them. And that's the only way they win. And so the only way to actually like get them to go away is you literally just block them and never speak to them again.
Well, so I've gotten better at that.
Well, let's go into the Zen garden, bro. You killed it out there. I know. It's if you follow me on social media.
All right, and this is where they go into the Zen garden that he did at his house. All right, sorry, Matt. Seem to be a minority here, thinking I was on board with Tommy until the last third. Yeah, no, I hear you, Elizabeth. We fall in different places on Charlie Kirk, Tommy and me. And I made that clear. I don't know if you got to that and heard that. Yeah, I don't agree with that. But yeah, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, to each their own, like you said, right? To each their own. Anyway. Oh, who are these guys? Let me pull up their channel. So the guy in the hat, this is his channel, Jimmy Rex. And then he has on Dan Merrill, who was the contractor unexpectedly brought in to help pave over the scene where Charlie Kirk was assassinated. All right. And so I did subscribe to his channel. Yep, already did. I like their vibe too. So, all right. I think I got to everyone and everything. If anyone has anything else they'd like to get in before we go. And I had already played the end of the show clip before I probed the audience to see if you guys wanted to watch this today or tomorrow. Plus, I know of some other people that are going to be going over this tomorrow. So I definitely wanted to get to it before it became yesterday's news. And two of this community had sent it to me, two different community members here, and were like, hey, you got to watch this. And I watched it twice and I was like, oh, I got to share it. Yeah, there was some potty mouths going on for sure. I know. Not by me. You're not going to hear me do that. And yeah, but look, you guys, I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for all your love and support. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Those of you that don't know, you can help support the channel here at the Venmo for Black Line, or you can donate and support here. Okay. For those of you, and this is Buy Me a Coffee, for those of you that don't like to give money through YouTube because they take some out. And then just if you do donate and support, just say what you want the money to go to, you know, for the studio, for the channel, for me, for my wife, for my kids, whatever it is. You just say what it is, and that's what it will be allocated for. Okay. Yeah. All right, you guys. 3-hour live, 3-hour and 23-minute live. Thank goodness it's not 3 hours and 33 minutes and 33 seconds. So we dodged a bullet there. God bless you guys. Thank you guys so much for your love and support. Have a great night, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Bye.